I know this is random. This is my Twitter feed. I don't know what the crud's going on. Why is it not going where it's supposed to? It's alright. It's a very nice little art of Hornet, though, being really nice. She's really cool. Well, I hear myself now. What is going on? Hold on, y'all. It's alright. Hold on, Leo, dude. Everything's going wrong today. What is going on? Why is it not popping up the Spotify? It's supposed to pop up Spotify. I'm so confused, bro. Okay, there we go. Dude, homies, I'm so sorry, bro. I mean, it isn't random. It was just really nice. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, homies. I gotta pertain to my cat. Like, everything was going off at once from my brain. Like, every cylinder was breaking. I'll be right back, homies.
For a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, scrap, want 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 4. Ace, deuce, ace, deuce, scrap, want 4. Scrap, want 4. Who wants the hot 4? 5 wants 4.
Check me out, y'all.
9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 4, and he made us the hard way. Hey, the front line takes the hard. We have a shooter and a good one. Coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. Who wants to come? 6 to point.
Check me out, y'all.
9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets. Place your bets. Who wants to come? 6 to point. Who wants to come? 6 to point. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
So funky.
your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, who wants to come? 6 the point, who wants to come? 6 the point, who wants to come? 6 the point. Plays 6.
Hiya Expedition, how you doing tonight, homie? I'm still here. I'm just trying to fix stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Sorry, I'm like all over the place here. But I hope y'all are doing rad. Excuse me. Ow. I'll be starting super soon. I'm tired. But I hope you're doing Omega Rad today, homies. I'm posting in places. How you feeling? What's been happening lately? I'm feeling a lot better than I did earlier this week. My collarbone doesn't feel as sharp. It still hurts like crud to move around, but I feel a lot better. So I'm feeling good. I'm just tired today. I had a really wild, rough day at work, but I'm doing pretty good overall, I think. Excuse me. But I've been doing pretty good. How have you been, homie? I'm almost done with this thing I'm doing here. Hiya, Dabster. How you doing tonight, homie? I hope you're doing Omega Rad. Derpy, I finally... Dude, congratulations. I haven't gotten to that. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm still like... I need to pull it up at one point and try and beat him, but I need to build my L in a good way. But that's pretty good, by the way. You beat Simon. When did you beat him? Did you beat him yesterday? Excuse me. Yeah, he's crazy, by the way. You'll get there, don't worry. I believe it. If I can just get my L cracked enough, I'll be okay. I think that's the biggest thing, is getting my L cracked enough to where she can like solo ult him and stuff or something. Yes, and the recent tragedy hasn't been easy. Yeah, I got you. There's a lot I'm gonna talk about it on Monday for sure, but I get you. I can understand. It's a very dark thing that had happened this week, so totally understandable and why it's like a thing. I do want to say I want to encourage you in that as well, to say that like while there is tragedy like that, there is also a lot of good that can come from something bad. That doesn't say it's good that it happened. It's to say that God is really good at taking some really bad stuff that people try to do, such as like ending a life, and a lot of good things can come from that, if that makes sense. It's nothing good about ending a life, but God is very good at turning something bad into something good. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's a lot of crud going on in the world. I agree. Here, I'm gonna change over in just a second. By the way, let me add these ats real quick, and then I need is me, however what I say. I need is love. I'll be together. You're my number one. I can't remember what I was doing here. And maybe Paper Mario. We might have some. Hiya, Pans, and welcome in, homie. How you doing tonight, homie? I'm gonna say streamer, and then live. I'm gonna tell y'all some stuff real quick, and then I'm gonna go crazy, if that makes sense. Well, not crazy, but you know. I don't know why I said I'm going crazy. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk to y'all about. On Monday, I'll talk a lot about some stuff, especially regarding some things just going on in the world. I'm posting on something real quick, and then I'm going to carry on over real quick, alright? Sorry, homies, I'm looking at what y'all saying real quick. Let me post this first, and then I can put my full undivided attention. Because my attention is divided at the moment, but it's all good. All everyone I say I need is love. Us to be together. You're mine. Alright, let me go over here. Let's change my screen over and let's talk. Hello, dude. Why does it feel so bright? It feels so dang bright. I probably didn't turn down the brightness. Is it bright? I feel like it's bright. I feel like I'm being blinded. Hold on. Ow. There you go. All right, so good news. Got some good news for you, homies. Just letting y'all know. First on the good news. Collarbone's feeling a lot better. Haven't felt the sharp pains. Does it still suck to sleep? Oh, you betcha it freaking does, but it doesn't hurt as bad as it did before. So, big plus. When I get this collarbone stuff out of me, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel so much better. I ain't gonna lie. So, let me catch up real quick with what you guys are saying. Dabster, you said, Mael carried me through phase 1. She did 34 million, bro. That's a chunker right there, in my opinion, dude. That's wild. Basically took me to phase 3. Ow, 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 ow. Sorry, homies. I've also got not a lot of bumps, but you know, the pimple bump things. I scratched it and it just hurt. But at the end, I had all of the phase 2 Perry's muscle memory, like I did with Kalea. Phase 3, I got them all, but that super long one, oh, I bet it's insane, yeah. Having second chance on CL and Minoko help. Yeah, having second chance helps a lot. I have second chance on CL, so it helps. So it does help. I might need to try to put second chance on all the people that I've got, so. I meant Mael carried me through phase 2. Phase 1 was brain dead easy. Yeah, phase 1's easy. Phase 2 is insane, though. Let's see. Britain, Japan, Italy, New Zealand have been showing their support. Yeah, So, I'll share more about this on Monday because there's a whole big spew I have that I'm planning on talking about on Monday for it. But I do like that everyone's able to come together and agree that ending somebody's life because of an opinion that they have is disgusting. And I think that's I think that is something that is that is really cool that there's people who are supporting in that way. There's more that I'd like to talk about in regards to that, but I'm gonna wait till Monday. But I will say with that situation, I think there are multiple avenues that I'm not a big fan of that are going to happen. And then there's also there's the good ending, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to say that, like, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about, especially on Monday, but one thing I want to encourage anybody, because I'll say this on Monday, I want to encourage anybody who is affected by this to not let something like this create an animosity inside of yourself. That's a big thing. I know a lot of people are like, a lot of people want to like champion that coin of like where they're like, this is something I'll say on Monday. One of the smartest moves, by the way, that you can ever do in regards if you were the devil is to sit there and end the life of someone a lot of people liked, and sit there and end the life of somebody that's going to rile up people to cause problems. So one big thing I will say, just to kind of summarize what I'm going to talk about on Monday, is don't let the death of somebody who was done by a wicked person, right, cause you to fall in the same pit on the opposite side of the coin, right? A lot of people think it's like a left-right thing. It's not. It's a sin issue. It's always been a sin issue. The moment you try to pin left or right on it, you're already falling into the sin issue. And I know people are like, don't say that. It's the truth, right? And I want to tell you this too. If you aren't praying for the person that ended someone's life, by the way, pray for that person too, by the way. They deserve as much as prayer as well. And I know it's kind of wild to say that, but I am all for praying for everybody involved. As in, yes, pray for the homie's family for sure, definitely. Also pray for the shooter. I know people don't like to hear that because that might be a thing that rocks the boat a bit, but that's the reality, is pray for everybody involved. Don't sit there and be partial. And this is the smartest move the devil can do with something like this, is to make you start having partiality within your life. Make you go, oh, well, maybe these people aren't worth my prayers, right? Don't do crud like that. Like, the moment you do that, you're playing into the game, right? Don't play the game. That's the biggest thing I'll say. Obviously, I'll go into more detail within that. That's the big spew for a little bit until I get to Monday, but I just want that to be prevalent. And I like what you said there, Toon Army Cat. Also, hi, Toon Army Cat, and I hope you're doing well. That is something I think is important. So I think it's pretty real deal. Also, Pansy said, I'm doing fine. Thank you. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. Tired. I'm really, really tired, but I'm doing very good. I'm glad you're doing good also, by the way, homie. I'm having a very tired day, so I don't know if we'll actually finish the game or not. But I'm doing pretty good, I would say. Also, thunder and rain and lightning. Dude, no way, bro. That is fire. Dude, I forgot it was the song. Yeah, you're right, bro. Also, hiya, Ubu. How you doing tonight, homie? Also, hiya, Owen. How you doing tonight as well? Speaking of that, because you're on YouTube, I need to pop out my YouTube chat real quick. Hold on. I didn't even think about popping that out. But I hope you guys are doing rad and super cool. On Monday, I'm just going to give you all the preface. I talked about this a little bit here. On Monday, I'm going to go into big more of a detail of what had happened this week in regards to tragedy stuff. Right now, today's stream's not going to be fully about that. The little coin thing I did a little bit ago is probably as much as you'll get today, unless something just speedballs it into that. But there's a lot I'm going to be talking about on Monday in regards to the God Talk, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about, and there's a lot of parts that need to be addressed in a lot of areas that I think a lot of people are a little too scared to talk about, and then there's a lot of people who are more than happy to talk about things, but come at it from a very strong heart, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Let's see. So let me catch up real quick. Funny thing is I learned all these attacks I run, but that I whiffed. So many parries that I wanted. That's cool. I like that too. I ain't gonna lie. I probably won't stick around because it's 3 a.m. Hey, Panzin, understandable, by the way. Understandable. If you can't, that's all right, homie. Let's see. Also, y'all should check out the homie Ubu as well, homies. He's gonna be streaming, I think, if I'm not mistaken, some more Spyro tomorrow night, which is really rad and super cool. So go check out the homie Ubu as well. Sorry, I'm catching up. I'm also really tired from work today, by the way. So it's like if I look like I'm dead on the inside, it's because work was very like tiring today. But it's not a bad thing. It's still really good, but excuse me, it was a wild day, especially towards the end of the day. Let me catch up. I'm loving the Jet Set Radio. Yeah, Jet Set Radio soundtrack's really good too. Oh, there's something I found on YouTube I wanted to share with you guys. Someone made a blues cover of the book of Ecclesiastes. Ooh, I think I saw that recommended to me on YouTube at one point. I'm gonna pause it and excuse me. Yeah, this was recommended to me, so I will look at this off stream because that's like a whole 50-minute video. But I do appreciate you sharing that because it's really cool, Pansin. Let's see. Yep. If you can't rejoice at the idea of Adolf and Osama being saved, you're not believing in the Jesus of the Bible. Yeah, definitely. And that's an important thing as well. Is that like it is important to like, and I'll go more in detail on that on Monday because I could talk this whole stream about like that subject, but it is that's more of like we'll talk about on the God Talk because I do think I need to think some more things around. For example, also Owen, I'm sorry that you retracted a message that you'd sent. Sorry, I'm all over the place looking at a bunch of different chats, so don't worry about it. You're good. I will say in what you had said, I agree. It is not really a political issue, but I do think politics are a big thing that falls into some stuff like that. So I just want to say, in regards to that, it's more of like it's a sin issue. However, like it depending on like it's obviously still back to a sin issue, so it points back to a sin issue. But I agree, it's not like a one side or this thing. It's this is a problem, and it needs to be addressed, kind of the deal, you know. Let me catch up. Sorry if I'm taking so long catching up, by the way, homies. What do you call it? I'm trying to catch up real quick. I'm tired. Actually, I am well. I tire of educating people from some of the aforementioned countries of the context of some of the events and personalities. Yeah, I agree. I understand that. I can understand talking to people who are from different countries and them not understanding the context of situations, and they're just kind of just shoving their 2 cents in or something. So I get that, yeah. Let me catch up real quick. Let's see. Aw, snap. Yeah, Spyro 3. Maybe we'll leave the skate park this time. That would be pretty wild, I ain't gonna lie. The skate park is pretty cool, though. I gotta say, I do like the idea of like playing a Spyro and just like skating through that whole skate park area. I think that's fun. That sounds really fun. Or I shouldn't say it sounds really fun. I was watching the stream. It looks really fun, is what I mean. Have my attention true? I'm still, I think you're trying to say distraught instead of distract. Or distracted, you could say that. But yeah, I can understand it. It's a very strong situation that had happened. I just want to say in that regard, too, is that, like, yes, it's a scary thing. Like, it's not just a scary thing, but it's a sad thing that it happened. Like I said, I'm trying not to, like, go into a giant spew until Monday. But as someone who is kind of more of an outside of the perspective person on that, it is still a bit of a world shaker thing going on. So it's like I know, and that's an understatement. I just want to say what I said was an understatement, not intentionally, but it's without me going into a giant spew about the whole thing. It is hard to talk about, if that makes sense. So it's like it's one of those things where I want to encourage you to be strong about it, regardless of how you see it. Obviously, I think at the end of the day, we can all agree at the end of the day that, like, obviously wanting to advocate political violence or ending somebody's life, if that makes sense, is wrong entirely, and it's not okay for anybody to do. And if you think those things, obviously your heart would be in the wrong place. So it's just a thing that I think is important for homies to learn as well. But as I'll say on Monday, because I still need to think some stuff through about what I want to say, because there are certain things I've started to realize that, like, mixing a few things can also create more of, like, I guess if this makes, like, sense, it's like I don't want to make it sound like I'm creating an evil potion, but it's like I have to be careful like what I group things with so it's not taken the wrong way. And it's like, it's really like, it's hard to like, not process, but it's hard to verbalize everything at once because there's a lot of good things that can happen and a lot of bad things that can happen. Obviously, the bad route is probably the prominent one here. But there's a lot of areas that like, it's kind of like, the best way I can say is like, it sparked so many different things at once that it's like, it's hard to sit there and just say, all right, guys, I can address this all in one go around. And so on Monday, I'll talk more, just to let y'all know, like I'll have more time to think about it. So I just want to say that, like, I don't want to say stuff that's like misinformed, if that makes sense. Not just misinformed, but like, I'd rather see how things have played out a little bit more before I start, you know, gauging an opinion, you know what I mean? That's just something I think's important on there. Let me catch up real quick. The link shows fine, by the way, Panzin. I appreciate it, homie. See, Panzin said, I'm not sure about the text, though. There are parts where he's changed the text to make it fit more with the melody, but as far as it's pretty close to the KJV. I got you, homie. Political violence is never viable, no matter which side it is. It's evil, and the devil is behind it. So I agree, definitely. So this is a me thing. This isn't nothing. There's what you said is completely right. My thing is that I usually try to not drop the devil on top of things a lot, and this isn't to say you're wrong. It's just obviously sin is sin, and sin is a bad thing. I try my best to not claim demons or devil over things, just because I think people have different perspectives over stuff like that, and I feel like, which in your case, I don't think you mean it that way, so you're fine. I just wanted to let you know. I try my best to kind of just say it's sin rather than that. But I agree. There's a lot of bad behind it, and I think that's the thing. I don't like to give the devil a name and be like, this bad man did this wild thing. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. But I understand where you're coming from, and I agree. It doesn't matter what side you're on or anything like that. It's still evil and it's still bad. You know, it is still sin, right? So I agree. So I know you don't want to go into it right now, and I'm in the same place. But TLDR, it's easy to be like, we should obey God's laws, and I like this young man that says that so eloquently, without knowing the fuller context is around some groups and rhetoric here in the U.S. like killing babies equals bad. It's easy to agree with, so we should explode clinics less so, to give hopefully non-controversial examples. Now I got you. What you're basically like, kind of, it's what you're saying is great, and I think this is something that's worth bringing up on Monday for sure, because this is very topical. But it's pretty true, is that, like, you know, something like this can create a similar scenario like that, where it's like, we can all agree this thing is bad, but people will take this thing is bad, so let's do this bad thing as well to other people. And I don't think that's okay, right? And so that's a big thing, right? Is that, like, it's like you see one extreme and you're thinking, man, well, they did this extreme to me, so I get to do this extreme back. It's like that's the playground right there, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's like you're playing in the playground you shouldn't be playing in, you know. So it's stuff like that. We'll talk about that a lot later, though. But yes, I agree. I think that's something I'm going to talk about as well too, because believe it or not, doesn't matter what side you're on, God's side is beyond stuff a lot of the times when it comes to these things. And this isn't to say that it's like, you know, like, oh, I know what God's side is. I'm being like puffed up and thinking I know, but like oftentimes people will get into these disputes and be like, you know, God's on our side, God's on our political side or viewpoint or something like that. Reality is that he's not, you know what I mean? Like, and I know a lot of people like to make the excuse of like, well, God put the president where he put the president. It's like, sure, but God also put Saul as the king of Israel, as the first king of Israel. Like, that doesn't mean that your king is fine and your king is okay, right? This isn't to say that I'm talking about our current president, just to clarify. I'm giving an example, right, in the aspect of just because somebody is in a place of power doesn't always mean necessarily that the things they do with it are right. This is not talking about the Charlie Kirk thing or our current president. I'm just giving an example of, like, there's people who claim that just because they're on one political side that it magically means it's Christian, and it's not the case, right? And so that's kind of the big thing, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what we'll talk about a lot. I won't talk about it a whole lot here, but that's a big thing that I think is important as well, is just to, as we take in a lot of things in regards to what's going on in the world today, like, don't look at something that had happened like this as some, well, you know, this must mean that this political viewpoint is right or wrong. It's not about politics in that part too. Like, there's parts of it that is, but like in the case of the fact that someone lost their life, that's not politics. That is sin and a human problem. That's disgusting, and it's not good behavior, right? It's not behavior in general that should be acceptable or you know, celebrated or gloried, right? So we'll talk about that a lot more on Monday, but like it's like a really delicate situation, because it's like you can say one thing and then someone, like, for example, like, I can sit there and say, yes, I agree, this thing is bad. However, I could say that, but there might be an extreme person who they're like, yeah, you know what? This guy's on my side. And then, you know, goes to the other extreme route, which doesn't necessarily mean that, like, what I would say would lead someone to that. But that's why it's such a delicate thing, because there's layers to this whole thing. Like, there are multiple areas that need to be touched on in this. Obviously, we can agree on the main one. That's like, yes, nobody should be killing anybody just because of a political opinion or them sharing their life or anything like that. That's the obvious agreement there. The second thing is that, like, at the end of the day, this homie was talking to people and genuinely having a conversation with people. Like, this homie, in the nicest way possible, was, I would say, almost harmless in regards of, like, you know, talking. He was openly talking to people, you know. So it's a really, like, there's so many different things, and then there's, like, we can all agree on this, but then there's, like, people will take it this way. It's a slippery slope. So when I get my thoughts in order about it, because I've had multiple conversations with people at work, with some homies of mine, and a little bit with family, but not really family. I don't really have these deep conversations with family, which I would love to, but, you know, my family's not really in the atmosphere of that, if that makes sense. But when I collect all that together and I just kind of figure out how to talk about it, we'll talk about it on Monday, and we'll get into it, I think, if that makes sense. But, you know, let me catch up real quick. I say, I just met people overseas. Sometimes just hear the headline and don't know the context of the TikTok activities and some of the orgs. Life is much a nuance than a 1 minute rage bait clip. Yeah, definitely. I got you. Definitely, for sure. Let's see. God sent the Babylonians to take the Israelites into slavery, is Jeremiah 29. Yeah, definitely. Is so often misquoted to not remind us. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is oftentimes, like, it's another thing like Job too. People will, like, probably quote, like, a chapter of Job that was, like, Eliphaz saying some really nice spiritual stuff, but the context of it is he had no idea what he was talking about because he was talking to Job. So it's like, you got to be careful, like, with the context of the certain scriptures you read too. Let's see. Oh, and you said, honestly, I've been waiting so I could talk to you. I got you, homie. Well, I'll tell you what, on Monday, for sure, I can go into the bigger discussion of stuff like this. It's just, if I feel like if I take up this whole stream here, then it's going to take up the whole stream of the other stream, and then I won't be able to do what I want to do tonight here. But I think it's more proper to kind of give a waiting call on, like, let's see, let's take some things from the perspectives that we like that I see of other people's perspectives, and you know, having conversations with some more people, and also just seeing kind of how things have play out a little bit afterwards, just so I can, like, you know, just so I'm able to talk about it, because there might be some other angles that pop up, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Let me catch up real quick. Let's see. Since we're talking, I've come to the conclusion that it's not just what you do, but how you do it, as in politics/policy, as it is in our day to day. Yeah, I got you, definitely. Yeah. Excuse me, because like there is a how you do things as well. Excuse me. Sorry for the blunt question, but what's your opinion on the death sentence? I heard in Utah you have the death penalty where the shooting took place. It's real hard. I don't know. This is gonna be like, no, this is unpopular as crud to say this. I do think at some point someone needs their due diligence, especially if they are continually doing this. You know, it's kind of like one of those things about, like, you know, like if you think of Bullseye from Daredevil, right? Like, this dude is deranged. He does not give a crud about anybody, and he is continually, like, destroying people's lives and killing people. It's like one of those things where it's like, I think it just depends really solely on stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the death penalty. And I know that sounds kind of like does that mean you're okay with these things? No, it doesn't mean that I'm okay with these things. I just don't want to play the role of executioner, if that makes sense. Like, it's not my place to be executioner, so I don't want to put that in the hands of man, if that makes sense. But I also understand not every man is like that. And people get their due diligence some way, one how or another. I think I always still believe let the Lord's vengeance be the thing that does it, not my own. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if there is a death sentence for something like that, I'm not going to sit there and celebrate the guy dying. I'm going to be real with you. Just as much as I'm not going to celebrate Charlie Kirk passing away, right? I'm not going to celebrate these things, because, like, these are genuine human beings, even though, yes, obviously we can agree one deserves it more than the other, right? And that's the case, right? And obviously I'm not going to cheer for the one, if this happens, that the one that deserves it more than the other gets that to happen, if that makes sense. So it's really kind of a hard area to talk into. I think that, like, and this is a big what if, and I know this is kind of wild. I think it depends on, like, how bad are they a detriment to society, to the point to where that it needs to be stopped, or other people are going to be causing problems, you know? Like, I don't want to be like a Batman, where it's like Batman doesn't kill his enemies, but, like, he will gladly, like, put them in a little prison for them to just break out over and over again. Like I don't want to treat it like that. But that's just my thought, is that, like, I think that, like, it shouldn't be up to me for something like that. But I think it's a great question. And I know it's a blunt question, but I like the honesty in that. I think that's the big thing that I want to say within that, is that, like, I don't agree with it. However, I can see the appeal of it for someone who is very problematic in the way where it's like, you've got to either stop it or it's going to keep going, you know? Like, I get that. However, I definitely don't think I want to be found in that kind of situation myself, you know? And that might be a little bit lofty, or that might be a bit like, you know, at some point I might have to face that. I don't know. But I would say for the most part, I'm not a big fan of the death penalty, if that makes sense, you know? Let's see. We can hopefully agree that a child losing their father is sad and wrong. But we should be able to do that without endorsing all of that person's actions in politics. No, and I think that's important too. I think that's another way of doing that as well. Like, you can have, and I know this is like, I still want to do more of this on Monday, but you can still not agree with what happens, but also understand that there's things that may have not been a thing you would agree on. And this is going to be sounding harsh. I don't think somebody's death should stop the honesty in that. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that. That probably does come off as heartless. Someone's death should not stop the honest conversation. That's just the real deal, right? Just because somebody passes away does not mean we can just fire off all cylinders and forget the honest conversation, right? Obviously, yes, there's something completely wrong with the bad that is going on. However, that shouldn't stop the honest conversation. However, I've also learned as well, you need to be careful with how things are said, though, just because, like, if you cram so much things at once into one thing, it dilutes the waters, if that makes sense too. So that's a big thing that I think is important as well. Like, that's something I was thinking about a lot lately is the honest conversation seems to stop when it comes to a death of somebody, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. However, I do think the way you focus on it is the problem, right? Like, if you're only focusing on the things you disagreed with somebody on, then it's like you're not really respecting the passing of the way. But also at the same time, too, it's like, it doesn't mean that you should magically throw it in the air because someone's passed away, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But yeah. I'm catching up real quick. The truth is, I feel overwhelmed by it all. I got you, and I want to say this too, by the way, Owen. I can understand feeling overwhelmed, by the way. But I will say this too, is that, like, while it is a scary thing that happens, don't let that fear and overwhelming stop you from doing what you're doing, right? Or doing what, or to doing what God has been doing in your life. It's there's more I could say in that, but I would just say that, like, while it is a scary thing, and an overwhelming thing, don't let it fester inside of you to the point to where you end up not seeing what's important in front of you, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And no problem, Toon Army Captain. Appreciate you, homie. Let's see. It's interesting, the death penalty clearly is in the Mosaic Law, but even so, even though they twisted it in all kinds of ways, my understanding is that in practice it was considered too extreme for them. I gotcha. See, I feel it should have been me who was on that day, not Charlie. He had a family. Well, I get that. I get that you feel that way, and I know what you're saying. You're having a selfless heart about it, and that's very admirable. I agree. I think that's a nice thing to say, in a way. Like, I get what you're trying to say. You're saying this in a nice way, but it's also something that you shouldn't say that about yourself, though. Like, God made you for a purpose and a reason, right? Honestly, I think it's admirable that if you would willingly take a bullet for somebody, that's great. That's like, that's a selfless heart. But, at the same time, God made you for a reason. So it's like, don't feel like you should have been there. Because you know what? At the end of the day, we all should have been there, right? As an example, right? Like, it's kind of like this. Like, we all should be dead in our sin, for example. But Christ willingly went on a cross for us, right? I'm not saying that, that Charlie's like a depiction of Christ in that way. But definitely, like, there is something similar to that, right? Where that had happened, right? And it's like I said, I need to collect my thoughts more on something like this. But, like, with something like that, don't treat yourself as something lower like that. Like, we're all on the same planet. There's no one higher or lower just because they have a family or not, right? At the end of the day, I do believe God has his purposes, and the reason that it happened the way that it did was that at the end of the day, God is going to use something like this for good. Like, at the end of the day, I think that's the big thing for it. And so I just wanted to say that as an encouragement, just to say that, like, while yes, it is a very big bad thing that happened, I do think that this is also a form of a wake-up call for a lot of people who are like, hey, there is a real deal bad in the world, and we need to be aware of this. You know, like, I do think that that's a big thing. And I think that, like, there will be a lot of good that comes from that, even though there is something like that had happened. So, like I said, when I collect my thoughts more and stuff on it, I'll be able to articulate it in a lot better way. I just have to think about it a lot. It takes me a lot of thinking to try to talk when I need to talk, you know. I feel like I was more searching for that instead of a family, a man of God who deserved to die that day more. I got you. I would say this is that, like, while we can think of any other guy who would be better to pass away other than Charlie, we don't need to think like that, you know. Like, I appreciate the heart in that, if that makes sense, you know what I mean. But there is a purpose in that, and I think that, like, wanting that to be yourself is in a way admirable, but it fell into place for that to happen. It doesn't mean that that it's okay that it happened or anything like that. Evil is still evil, and it's still disgusting that had happened, because that is a problem. And there's nothing wrong with being upset at the fact that evil was happening, right? There's nothing wrong with being upset about that. I think that is completely understandable. I've talked with many people who are highly upset about it, and I totally understand that for sure, you know. So I just want to say that at the end of the day, we all could say someone who could be probably more deserving of that. However, God at the end of the day has his purpose and he has his reasons, you know. So I think what plays out in the next few days or so, we'll see maybe some, like, I believe we'll see good, we'll see bad, and we'll see ugly. That's just that there's just a lot of that in there. So Monday we'll talk a lot about it. We'll put all these things together, and we'll all have a really healthy discussion, because it's gonna be a really long discussion, I think, on Monday. So as long as things go well and I get to be home on time, we'll talk about it on Monday for sure. 200 Captain said, "This is where my nuanced stuff doesn't fit in a tweet. As a believer, I don't think it's for me to take a life, and I truly feel like my own life is worth giving to another. Excuse me. To have an opportunity to repent that they would not have if I preserved my life at their expense." Yeah, I get that. That's admirable too. I also don't think it's good for the state to take the lives of its citizens. At the same time, I'm to pray for the peace of the city, and if that's the policy chosen by the people and the powers of God has put us over, then I don't have to agree with it, but I can live with it. I get you. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't think I'm necessarily on board with it, but I get where it's at. I get that. So I get that. I also say, in the case of what you had said, I think it's really cool. I kind of word it as, it's better for a lion of the Lord to die than someone who is a whimpering dog, or someone who's not that far in, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that we're talking in that game of that, but I always like the idea is, like, I'd rather have someone be able to repent with the opportunity of my own life being taken, if it meant that, if my life was preventing them from that, you know what I mean? So I get that completely. Like, if I'm standing in the way, if this is a way to move out, that's understandable, you know. Let's see. And yeah, I agree with Panzin as well. Like, it doesn't matter who does what or anything like that. Yeah, you still have a purpose, and God's still got a purpose for you, for sure. Besides that, I am still desperately holding back my rage while this sin and evil. Yeah, and that is completely understandable. I am completely understanding of that, you know. I'm a bit different with my emotions and how I handle that, but, like, I completely sympathize with the people that are upset about this, because, you know, I've got quite a few friends that are really upset about it. I've got some coworkers who are in a disarray about it. It's been a wild, strong week, and so I just want to say that, like, I get it. I get the anger in it, but it is still good to pray about it. It's still good to pray about the the ones that had the evil behind that, right? It's good to pray of those things because it helps pull the daggers out of your heart, if that makes sense. I know how mad I got over something as small as people talking bad about me. And the more I prayed about it, the more the daggers started coming out of my heart. You've got to pray about these things. You've got to spend time with God and help him form your heart in a way where you're not stuck in the animosity. You're not stuck in the anger and the partiality, because that's not how God wants us to be, right? At the end of the day, God will have vengeance in his own way, right? Whether it be that person that did this repents and sees the error of their ways at some point in their life, and they have that guilt and that shame that weighs over them that they have to work and build on, or that God somehow finds a way to really just get that out the way, and how he handles that is up to him. It's not easy sometimes. Sometimes it's very like, I want to be the one that, you know, decides what goes with this, but it's important to pray for him. Pray for all the bad that had happened, in the family as well. Just because these things are worth praying about. It is a hurting nation thing, you know. Because battle not against flesh and blood, but against darkness and sin. Yep, or another way of wording it, you know, principles and principalities or something like that. Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying completely, and I think that is a big thing. We all need to be careful of in regards to just our own hearts and just how we reciprocate these things going on, if that makes sense. So that's just a big thing I'll say. That's kind of the end of that for right now, but I'll talk a lot about that on Monday for sure. Like Monday, I'm gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're gonna go kind of full throttle into this about big discussion, what had happened, everything that had happened, and yeah. And I'm curious what my pastor's going to say on church on Sunday too. So I want to hear what he has to say. Like, I've heard a lot of people have to say, like, seen what a lot of Twitter had to say. I've seen what coworkers have had to say. I've seen what some homies have had to say for me. I want to see what my pastor has to say. I like to see a lot of different perspectives to hopefully gauge an opinion or to think about the things that I'm looking at. So I'd like to see what my pastor says, and I'm going back to church on Sunday because my collarbone's doing good now. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna talk about this on Monday, and we're gonna have a big conversation. So since it's been about an hour, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I kind of want to watch the Nintendo Direct, just to see what kind of new stuff is coming out. I don't know how big the Nintendo Direct is. But I want to talk about it or check it out because it might be a pretty cool thing, you know what I mean? So, but I will say I appreciate the conversation, by the way, and I thank you all for participating in this conversation. It's a very genuine conversation that I think everybody probably needs to have, and so we'll talk more about it on Monday for sure. On a slightly lighter note, what is the more biblical view of the creation of the earth? Younger earth creation or older creation? So here's the reason why I think it's older creation. And I know it's kind of like, what do you mean? Obviously there's genuine proof that the earth is definitely older than 2,000 years old. But a big thing is if you read in the Old Testament, talks about a lot of years. Like you look at Genesis and up to Exodus, there's a lot of genealogies that kind of go through that. There's a lot of stuff that goes through that, a lot of years. So there's already a big buildup of years between both of those moments in Exodus and Genesis. And then you've got Exodus through Joshua. And all of those are pretty much within a good 100-year frame, I would say. So it's not really that big. But then you get to Judges, and it's huge. It's you don't know the time frame. We don't know when the time frame of these things had happened. but the way it talks about is the way Judges is kind of built up, it sounds like it has been very many years, like many years. And then you've got a lot of other years as well, like you've got like you've got like all of like from Samuel, like First Samuel all the way to like Kings. I should even say First and Second Kings is incredibly many years as well. Like you're looking at probably over 1,000 or so or more years for sure. So it's like you've got a lot of these different things, and that's just a little bit of it, both how many kings that there were. And then you got all the way down to the Old Testament towards the end, and it stops. And apparently, like 400 years after the Old Testament is when Jesus shows up. So it's like you already have all of these different things, and we are now 2,000 years more after that, right? So I'd like to say it's the older. It makes more sense too, because if you think about the dinosaur thing and stuff like that, that also kind of makes sense because it's like, you know, these things were around, right? So it's like. It makes sense, you know what I mean? Like just to imagine that, like it makes more sense that dinosaurs were like a thing, rather than like in the Bible times, for example. Like, you know what I mean? That to me is like, and yeah, we could probably say in Genesis, around Genesis, sure, you know, the dinosaur things happened, or we could say, you know, when the flood happened in Genesis, you know, that's when the dinosaurs got taken out. I don't know. I don't know the whole thing, but it just makes more sense with the older thing. So I'm with the older, you know. Honestly, old Earth creationism, it makes more sense to me because one day God is 2,000 years. One day for God is 2,000 years. So he could have done it. It could have been a month. Yeah, and that's a great example. Is that so? It's That's why I'm on board with the older Earth theory thing, if that makes sense. Like I'm more on board with like the Earth being older than 2,000. You know what I mean? That's just me. I know some people are like very bent up on that, but just from reading the Old Testament, it makes sense that the Earth is older than what a lot of people may be thinking is. If that makes sense. See, it baffles me to think of the possibility of everything coming out of nothing when we are so intelligently designed by God. Everything works together as if created to. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's also a really wild thing, too, to think about. It's just like how everything just works in tandem and it works really well. So it's like, it is kind of wild. It's kind of wild stuff. So it's like, while I don't understand the whole dinosaur thing part, I think that like it makes sense that there is stuff that just falls into place, like even with like my life, for example, things just fall into place for the stuff that happens. So, but yeah, so, it is really cool. And I think this is a really fun discussion as well. So we did hit an hour. So I do think we'll probably go over to, the Nintendo Direct. I am also really tired also off the bat. So I don't know if we'll understand the love. Let me see. But yeah, I agree. It is awesome to think about how like cool God is and stuff. Dude, there's the Nintendo. Dude, the Nintendo Direct is an hour long. Homies, what the crud? What is this Nintendo Direct? This Nintendo Direct is probably cracked. I ain't gonna lie. Alright, homies, let's go check out the Nintendo Direct. This is not the Nintendo Direct. Hold on. Hiya, Inky. How you doing tonight, homie? Hold on, I gotta turn on my face cam. Hello, it's me, your boy. Let's turn off this music. The music kind of cut off at the right time, too, so it's pretty cool. Alright, ignore this. Ignore this, homies. We gotta check out what, the Nintendo Direct be saying here. Alright, let's see what the Nintendo Direct says, by the way. Let's see. Did you like the Nintendo Direct, Inky? I know about one movie that was confirmed from this, but that's all I know so far. Wait, we seeing the whole thing? Maybe. I don't know exactly. Do you think it's worth seeing the whole thing? Let's see. I thought it was alright, but I expected more. Okay, I got you. Interesting. I just did a 4 times speed. Interesting. Let's see. My heart seeks Christ and heart aches for Christ, but it feels just out of reach, which feels like torture. Yeah, I get that. I understand that completely. That's the yearning of wanting like a genuine like relationship with Christ, or like essentially like coming home. Like I think that's why a lot of people also yearn for like God to come back. I see that a lot with a lot of people like wanting God to come back, because there is that. I don't like not that wanting the suffering. It is a part of the suffering that we have to do in our life. So yeah, I get where you're coming from, Owen, completely. And that is an understandable thing. And I want to say this is that like that is a good example of you're a human being that's genuinely wanting to seek Christ. Is that like it always feels like it's out of reach, like he's out of reach there, but he's always there, and that's really cool. Let me catch up real quick. Thought it was all right, but I expected more. Okay, we'll look at some of it. I'll probably, if it's a game I don't care about, I'll skip through it if that makes sense, because I'm not gonna watch like a whole hour of this. But if it's something worth looking at, I'll look at it. Chris Pratt one, I won't spoil it. Yeah, I think the Chris Pratt one was already spoiled for me, but I won't spoil it for the homies in chat. Also, hi, Starve Guitars. How you doing tonight, homie? Let's see. I just did a 4 times speed. Saw on Twitter though. A close friend of mine converted to Christianity yesterday. Well, that is awesome. I'm glad to hear about that, Inky. That's really cool. I do like it when I see that there's homies that have decided to follow Christ. I think that's really cool. So that's awesome stuff. You know what I mean? Also, hi, Belavari. You talked about the Kirk thingy. I will fully on Monday, but I did a little bit today. I've been talking about it in the aspect of like there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to unpack with it, but I've been primarily waiting to see what my pastor says on Monday or on Sunday before I start talking about the full ordeal of things that I want to talk about with it, because there's a lot of layers to it. There's the Christianity aspect of it. There's the political aspect. There's the obviously like murdering somebody is wrong aspect of it. There's a lot of different stuff of it. So I've talked a little bit about it earlier in stream, but primarily on Monday I'm going to talk a whole lot about it, where it's there's a lot of stuff that's happened within that. The biggest thing of the shortcut of what I'll say is obviously supporting the death of somebody just because you don't agree with them is completely wrong, and supporting the death of anybody, I would even agree, is completely wrong. Like if you have the opportunity to being able to if you have the opportunity to what do you call it? If you have the opportunity, sorry, my parents are home. I have to burp back real quick. Let me close my door and then I can talk more. Alright, I'm closing the door. Alrighty, sorry, my family is family's home. But yes, I small story short, obviously being okay with somebody murdered just because of opinions they have, completely wrong, by the way. And that's kind of the short end of the stick of it, but like there's going to be a longer talk about it on Monday where I talk about a lot of stuff of it, because I think what's going to happen in the future, this is the small take of it, I think what's going to happen in the future about this is people are not only going to treat this as a martyr situation, they're probably going to also use this as an excuse to commit violence. And I think that that's not okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody about it is going to do that, but I think it's disgusting that it even happened in the first place. And I think that like there's multiple routes it can go, but at the start, I think it's important to be able to look at it through different angles. Like it's not worth ditching an honest discussion. It's not worth destroying your thought process just because something like this happened, whether you're on one side or the other. There's so much to go within that. Like there's There's the left versus right thing people are claiming it is, and that's more of a person problem rather than a political problem, because people are going to use that as like a coin situation where they're like, you saw what this did, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean this as mean, but like someone could go fart in the White House and then it smells bad, and then someone's going to blame the other side just because it smells bad. I don't like that. I think it's, I don't like that. I think that it's kind of wild that like that even has to be a thing, but like it's a coin thing that's going to happen where there's a lot of people. I think politics are a part of it. Definitely. There's definitely a part in the politics for it, for sure. I think that that's why I said I think there's layers to it, where it's like there's obviously the murder part. There's the political part. There's the Christianity part. There's the what do you call it? No, there's an honesty part about it. There's the agreements and disagreements part of it. There's like a lot of different areas, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you liked that, Owen. That was pretty good. But it's true, though. Like, people are so attached to their political opinions that, like, they're willing to fight for something that's almost like an invisible enemy. The only reason, and this is me, right? And I don't mind saying this because guess what? I'm going to say this on Monday anyway. I used to be a very hardcore leaning political guy. I used to sit there and lean on one of the sides of politics. And I used to sit there and think just because somebody was on the other side of that political spectrum of me, that they were dumb and stupid. I realized over time that created a very big negative heart in my heart. And it created me to be this like person who wouldn't even bother trying to hear somebody out on the other side of that coin think, right? And I think that's a problem. And when I broke from that, I started now to realize today I'm seeing people who were in that spot I was, but took it so far that they went so deep with it, and it's wild stuff. So it is a wild thing to see of like that being a thing. So it's not okay, you know. So, but yes, the fart in the White House thing is exactly what it is, though, is that so many people are so desperate to fight for a cause, they're gladly going to plop a label on somebody as the enemy for it, and it's not okay. It's not healthy, and I'll obviously say that on Monday when we talk about it in more detail. But yeah, and also it's okay if you have to bring it back. By the way, Owen, I appreciate you being here, homie. Let's see. Take care. I think politics are part of it. Durfee used to be a communist. You're exactly right. I thought everybody needed to share what I had. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Let's see. Is it ever about rethinking the gun laws? If you're talking about my thought process, no, that's not something I'm thinking about on it. But I do know that is a big thing people bring up, is stuff like that. I'm not a big gun politics guy, just a big fair warning. However, I will say this, as from what I know from like Great Britain, for example, apparently they have gun laws where guns, what do you call it? Where guns aren't allowed. There's still like serial stabbings and stuff. So it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, doing gun laws doesn't stop humans from being humans, so that's like a problem, you know. Let's see. Belavar, you said, brother, you're on the road to atheism. The more you learn, the closer you are. I'm sorry to tell you this. I'm just an honest Christian. I'm not close to the road of atheism. I'm an honest Christian. I can see what's in front of me and know that those things are wrong. You know, like it's hard to find an honest Christian, and I feel bad saying that, but there's a lot of people who aren't really honest with their Christianity. And that's why it's very popular to see Christians who are just vehemently just thinking in their brains like there are a lot of things within this that are hard to take apart, right? So I'm a big thinker, and that's just a big thing for me. So it's like I'm not on the road to atheism. If anything, I'm on the road to help point people away from it. But that isn't to say that if someone is an atheist, I'm going to hate them or anything. That's just my heart in that. You know what I mean? So that's just a big thing that I wanted to share. Let's see. Communists don't want to share what they have. They want to share what you. You're right. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit there and say it ain't true. Anyone who justifies communism is already, listen, I will sit there and I will be perfectly fine with someone having a left take or a right take or something like that. Maybe not perfectly fine, but I'll realize it's an opinion and that's all it is. And I'm not gonna sit there and go like, you know what? These people are evil. I'm gonna sit there and go like, well, I ain't gonna lie. I can see one side, one side is lazy, and that's communism, right? Communists is lazy. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's what it is, right? So yeah, definitely. But you're right. You're right. As much as you're joking, I think you're right because communist countries, as we've seen, aren't the best of countries in the world. So it's a very wrong take. Per capita, U.S. still has more stabbings than the U.K. Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, that might be the truth. I'm not sure. I'm like that could very well be the truth, but it doesn't change the fact that it still happens in the U.K. though. Like that's the big thing for me is that sure, it may be a still big thing in the U.S., but it's still a big thing in the U.K. And that's not to be mean or be hateful, but that's just it's still a prevalent thing. At the end of the day, like. I'm not a big gun guy, right? I'm not a, and this might make me a target. They're like, Derpy don't got guns. Well, I can hunt them down. I mean, that might make me a target, but, I'm just not a guy that's like very like, I've shot guns before, but I've never like, I'm not a big gun guy. I'm not one of those homies that are like, like I'm proud to own a gun or anything like that. I just never grew up with them, but I'm not really, what do you call it? I'm not the biggest gun hogger where I'm like, don't touch my guns. But I also understand the importance in having that because I get it, like there's a right to bear arms. However, I do think that like it's really hard to kind of gauge that area because I do think that like people should be able to defend themselves. However, I do think that at the end of the day, being able to defend yourself should also equate to some way of not prevent, like, I don't know. There needs to be something that I think that like family members can't have access to certain things or something, it is really wild, what I mean? So, it's just really hard to like gauge that conversation. Cause like I said, I'm not a big gun guy. I'm not like one of those homies that know everything front and back about a gun. Heck, I barely know what an AR-15 is, and I know that was a big topic with a lot of people. So I'm not into politics. Like I'm like I on a surface level, I'm someone who thinks outside of it. I used to be a very big political guy, but I moved outside of that, and now I'm very much out of the loop. And I think it's a good thing though, because me being out of the loop, it helps me be able to look at things without a perspective of like my side, like a my side perspective, and it's more of like I just have this outside perspective, which doesn't make me better. It just helps me be able to look at things accurately, at least in a way that isn't thwarted by I'm right, you're wrong, or this is what my paper says versus what someone else's paper says. That's the big thing I think that's important within that as well, is that like I'm not going to sit there and whine and cry if guns are removed, but I'm also not going to whine and cry that we've got guns that are available. Like it's a big thing in that. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like I'm not somebody who can articulate that situation a lot just from what I had seen, but it's more of like what I see on an outside-ish perspective where I know a tad bit in it, but it's like I'm not like I'm not one of those homies that are like an expert or anything in it for sure. So just to full on honesty, homies as well. I'm not the the biggest gun head, if that makes sense, but there are other people out there who are they're probably very good at talking about that, but I'm not very good at it, and I will be completely honest. I'm not very good at talking about it because I'm like I don't know. But and it's fine to admit that. It's fine to admit that I don't know, right? Because that's honesty, right? Like, So I think that's just it's okay to be honest about that, Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna be back probably a little bit later, so everyone else that's maybe the other people here to keep keep you busy with questions. I know I like questions though. I like answering because it's like it's where I get my brain picked and I get to pick other people's brains. It's fun. Let me catch up real quick. Don't rob Derpy. Doesn't even have a Switch 2. It's right. I am poor, guys. All right. You know what? I got a Vizio TV back there. That thing's over 13 years old. You know, you're going to rob me. I ain't even got a flat screen, brother. You know, it's crazy, you know. I said gun violence doesn't happen anywhere where there's gun laws. Might be a thing to think about. I mean, sure. I guess yeah, I get where you're talking about. Like, I get what you're talking about, but like, this is just kind of my thought process on it though, is that like, and granted, this doesn't always necessarily mean it's like the right or wrong thing in this. This is just my thought process. So my thought within that is that like, while sure that may be the case, it usually leads to something else. So there's always going to be something until your rights are revoked, if that makes sense. So like, if the gun laws stop, right, or if the gun laws work, then you have to go with the knife laws. And if the knife laws work, then there's something else that happens. You know, violence is a thing, which isn't to say, oh, we should just give everybody these things. No, I think that there obviously should be mental checks and stuff. So it's like, I think that like, this is just one of those things where it's like, I think a big reason, and this is just coming from an American perspective, a big reason that there are slight gun laws, but not like, you know, let's get rid of all guns, for example, is because of the fact that it is used to stop a corrupt government. Like, that's the biggest thing, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not trying to be mean, but a lot of governments can turn corrupt. It's not something that we can trust one-to-one with that. However, I am on board with regulating people who might be a little psycho bonkers in the brain to having access to them, for sure. So like, whether that means if someone passes away, their gun does not go to the individuals who are in the family, but those guns go back to the state or something like that. Then I'm like, okay, that can kind of make sense, I guess, but it just really depends. That's one of those things where it's like, I'm obviously not knowledgeable on gun laws in other countries, so that's where I'm gonna have to be like, I don't know. Could be right, could be wrong, but that's just my thought process on it. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not gonna sell myself on one side or the other on it. I'm gonna take a very slightly leaning neutral perspective of like, I am perfectly fine with people having guns, as I've been in a country that's been born with that. I've been born in, you know, America with something like that, and it's never really caused me myself an issue. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not causing other people issues. So I think overall, as a society, that people are completely aware that these things are bad, right? So it's like, not guns themselves, but the people behind the guns, right? That they are bad, right? Like when you do these kinds of acts, there is a consequence that comes from that, right? Whether it is lifetime in jail, or it's like, you know, it's the same situation, just under a different scope, if that makes sense. I think all this encompasses back to like humanity and humanity's problem. Like, humanity's always going to have this problem, which isn't a good thing. I'm not trying to say we should be okay with that, you know what I mean? So that's just a big thing, I think, is an important thing about that, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my heart in that, if that makes sense. So hopefully that's understandable. I know it's not like a big thing on that, but you know, this is coming from my slight out of knowledge perspective of that. Panzin, you had asked, is it okay to ask what kind of Christian you are, like born again or Anglican? I take you're neither Orthodox or Roman Catholic. I'm neither. I am definitely neither. I'm also not Anglican, and I'm also not born again, whatever that is. So I'm non-denominational. I don't go by that like as like a title of like I wear it, but I don't go by denomination because I feel like, and this is just personal derpy opinion, I feel like denominations have turned very more political than they've been like than being honest, or which I'm not saying that people who are under those titles aren't honest. I've seen plenty of people who think beyond their denomination, but I don't like the idea of trying to box God in and being like, I know how God thinks. I know this is the way we do things. This is not to say that people who are under those are bad. You know, it's just to say that I'm not a big fan of the whole political spectrum of like what the denominations have created, because, you know, and this is just my take on that. Denominations are like Pokemon cards to people. So what they'll do is they'll be like, I want to wear this to make me feel better. And I'm not saying that's for everybody, but for a lot of people, denominations are like, I want to feel special about myself. This doesn't mean if you fall under these denominations that you're just a bad person, or because I know a lot of non-denominational people too that are just psychopaths, where they're just like, they think that at the end of the day, that like their them not being in a denomination makes them closer to Christ, which isn't the case. Your denomination doesn't make you closer to Christ. It's your heart, and also your honesty and to reflect what your denomination is about. One thing I respect about Dinks the Puppet, who is an awesome evangelist in regards to like sharing on TikTok and Instagram, is he will talk about him being a Pentecostal pastor, but also he is honest about how a lot of Pentecostal churches are very on this field of like, let's try to make ourselves feel good, right? Like if we feel better, then we're closer to God. It's like a lot of their belief systems is based on feeling, and he's very honest about that. He likes the Pentecostal church, but he's also acknowledging the majority of it is not very healthy and a way to build off of, which is really cool. Which is, I love stuff like that, because it's like people aren't like, at least in his case, right? People like him aren't bound by the system they're in, but they're able to acknowledge that the system that they're in maybe have some flaws, but is willing to work on that, or is willing to say, hey, most people under the system aren't doing a good idea, but I have a way of the system that we can do a better idea and bring us closer to Christ. So I like that a lot. So Panzin, in that regard, it doesn't necessarily matter what denomination somebody is, as long as they're able to think beyond it and not let that lock them down to a point to where they think that that's God. A big thing is Roman Catholic, for example. There's a very strong mindset of they trust in the fact that it's the, in quote, earliest church. Just because it's the earliest church doesn't make it right. I know sometimes there's Orthodox people who also go, well, we're the one true church. Well, that's also doesn't make you right, you know? Just the same thing with non-denominational, where they're like, well, we're the actual only ones with a relationship with Christ because we don't adhere to a, what do you call it? A denomination, you know, like those three are great examples of like, you're waiting to get puffed up. You know what I mean? Like if you don't acknowledge your heart and where it is, you can get puffed up because you think that just because you slap that name on yourself and adhere to that system, that you are now magically better than anybody else in like their relationship with Christ. It's not okay. Now, does that mean everybody under these systems thinks that way? No. But it means that there's quite a few people that do, especially if their thought process is, I'm a better Christian because I'm under this denomination, or I have a better relationship because I'm under this denomination. It's like, no, it's like not at all. And so I know I'm big wordy with that, but like, yeah, so it's a big reason why I'm not the biggest fan of popular Roman Catholicism and stuff like that, because it's like, it's not really cool stuff. I've met Catholics that are, that are able to think. But if you see stuff that's like trust in Rome and all these random different things, I'm sorry to say this, but or submit to Rome, you know, stuff like that. Like it's not okay. Like we're not called to submit to Rome. I don't give a crud what Rome does. I'm sorry. I don't mean that as mean, but I don't care what Rome does. I don't care what the Vatican does. The Vatican does not dictate my relationship with God. You know, I don't know much about Orthodox, so I can't talk about that. I know a bit more about like Roman Catholicism. That's why I'm not a big fan of Roman Catholicism. But I think if you're able to acknowledge in the system that you're under, or even here's the thing too, this is a big thing a lot of people don't think about, is just because you go to a church doesn't necessarily mean you are that kind of Christian, right? And I think that's an important thing to think about too, is that like sometimes people go to a church, like for example, a Baptist church, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily make you a Baptist, right? Maybe you like the congregation there, but you're someone who thinks differently than a Baptist, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? I know people might be like, oh, well, if you're going to this church anyway, you might think like them. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with addressing with what you think, and just taking it into a genuine point of, all right, let's think about this in a rational way, or like, what does this align with Scripture? Does it not? You know what I mean? So. Let's see. Oh, I gotta catch up. There's so many. Well, I appreciate the question. No, there's nothing wrong with asking what kind of Christian I am. Not only do I come from a non-denominational perspective, I am a non-denominational Christian. However, I don't title myself as that. Good night. Love you too. Yeah, I did. My mom's going to bed, homies. But yeah, so that's a good question though. I think that's awesome. Let's see. Okay, never mind. I was just making sure. Let's see. I'm looking through this, y'all. I will say in regards to the gun law stuff, like I said, I kind of like, you know, I don't have a lot to offer in the gun law stuff. But at least from the aspect of like why certain things are there, I know some things, but I'm not an expert in gun law, so that's why I'm not like big on saying certain stuff. I will say in regards to what you said about like gun rights never helped you overthrow the corrupt government. You're right, it hasn't, not in my lifetime anyway, but I think it is a big scare to a lot of other people as well. Like one thing I think is like, and it's not to be mean when I say anything about that. When I say this, it's more of like a perspective of like there are multiple areas that obviously can come from bad from the gun laws, but there's also other areas in where I think it does scare a lot of other countries from trying to be like, you know what, let's try to go after America, right? Because now not only do they have to fear like the army, they also do have to fear the people in their homes, because it's like there's a lot of people who are willing to defend their homes with such, right? That isn't to say that it's right or wrong or anything like that, but I get the perspective of why we don't have those kinds of gun laws because of something like that, right? So that's just kind of my thought process on that, is that like that's another thing added to that. So it's like while it hasn't like helped, at least in our lifetimes right now, it is still something that was made back in that year because of the fact that this could happen. So that's what the founding fathers basically had built it on. Now, I'm not going to say I'm some guy that's like all for the founding fathers or I trust everything that they said, but that's just kind of what the country's been built on. And you said it's so dumb that U.S. politics is left or right. They're separating you on purpose. Amen. Amen. I agree with you completely, by the way. That's why I hate the left or right stuff. It's just like, you're not winning. No one's winning here except for like, you know, the division course of things, you know. I agree with you completely. You know what I mean? I think independent should be a thing. That's why I try to encourage people. I'm like, you don't have to vote left or right. You can vote who you think is going to be a good president. And I think a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss that. They think it's either us or them, and it's like it's not an us or them. You have the choice. There's multiple choices. So yeah, I agree. I think that to me, out of everything in America, I like a lot of America. I'm a big fan of America. I was born here. I despise the political spectrum of it's either left or right. It's not cool. I don't like it. It is very divisive. And what Jesus says in the Bible is very strong and prevalent to today. And this is what he said. Jesus said, a nation against itself will surely crumble, or a kingdom against itself will surely crumble. And he was doing that when people accused Jesus of like being a demon, taking demons out of people or something like that, right? But he was saying that it would make no sense if someone who was a demon was deciding to go against a demon or something. Like, that's what he was saying, right? And he was speaking facts, because it's like, yeah, like a nation against itself is going to fall apart. And so when you've got half the nation left, half the nation right, you got this tension that's going to blow it apart, right? So it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. So no, I agree. It is very dumb indeed. Let's see. Which denomination is Charizard? The denomination that Frollo was a part of. I'm kidding. Obviously, Frollo is just a corrupt guy. Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, when he says hellfire, you know, I mean, I'm kidding, I'm joking. But that was just what I was thinking of. That's Charizard right there for you. My country, mostly European countries, too, has multiple choices. Yeah, I think that's great, you know. Far left, mid, right, centrist, all that stuff. We have choices. Yeah, I think that is perfectly good to have, you know. And it does stink because a lot of people in the U.S. have lopsided themselves to think, oh, snap, well, I got to choose left or right. It's the only way to go. And that's how people think. That's why they get all those votes. We have somehow as a country, and I know this is weird to talk about this. I promise I'm not a big political guy. But we have somehow, as a country, lied to ourselves to the point to where we have one or the other, and that's it, when there's multiple, you know. And it stinks too, because you know that there's genuine people out there who's trying to run for president or something like that actually are in those choices. But with how people are, they're not letting go of that, which I still encourage that thought process, though, of like, don't lock yourself to like one or the other. Like, think for yourself. I think that's important, you know. Let's see. True, left or right is really binary, but then you'll have a lot more diversity inside of the party, I think. Instead, if you would have that opinion in a fringe party, no one votes for. Yeah, in America, the fringe parties or the independent parties don't get a lot of votes. So, but yeah. He said, I like that you're a free thinker like that. You have your own thoughts and opinions, which I respect. I appreciate it. I don't want to be like one of those like so-called free thinkers when cheese is on the battlefield or something like that. But like that's what I want to do. I don't want to be that kind of guy that's like, I'm a free thinker. I am higher than these people who can't think beyond their denominations. You know, I don't think that. Like, and I know that like, you're not saying that, but like a lot of people tend to think that non-denominational people are like that, which there might be a lot of people that are, but yeah. Inky, you said you think Catholics are saved. It depends on the Catholic. You know, I think like we could argue that, I don't want to say argue, but we could say, do I think all Protestants are saved? I don't think, you didn't say all, but you said Catholics. Protestants, I don't think all Protestants are saved either. So it depends on the Catholic and their heart, right? Like, I don't know if someone's truly saved or not. I can only tell by their fruit, right? So that's a big thing with that Jesus, right? Well, Jesus says that you will know them by their fruit. That's for anybody who's a follower of Christ. So I do believe that there are Catholics and people who are Catholic that are going to heaven. I believe that entirely. I think it solely just depends on the thought process that they have and their heart behind what they believe in, right? So, for example, like do I think Catholicism is murky waters? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's like you have a lot of temptations at the door, but if you're able to navigate those murky waters, you can make it out, you know? That doesn't necessarily mean that most, like, this is to simply say, if you are putting tradition above God, then more than likely it's a no-go. Now, does that mean every Catholic is into tradition? No. There's people who do traditions for good reasons and bad reasons. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think there are multiple areas in Catholicism that can be bad, but specifically I want to say Roman Catholic. I don't know if Catholic is a thing. This is a thing that I talked to a homie about as well. I know how we're talking about this and I haven't even started the video, but what do you call it? I think that like, I don't like it when people slap a universal term on themselves and then they think, man, I've got it going. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that all Catholics are like that, but from what I know, Catholic is a universal term. And apparently that was slapped onto a denomination when it shouldn't have been. I don't know if Orthodox is the same thing or not, but there are terms that are slapped onto something like that. So I just want to say it's more of like, if the Catholic is putting his entire trust in the Catholicism and not God, then no, I don't think he's saved. If the Catholic is not really bound by the way he thinks in his Catholicism or anything like that, he's just a Catholic because he was born and raised in there and he genuinely seeks God, yeah, he's saved. So it's the same thing for anybody else, I think. I think that, like, at the general sense, I've met Catholics who aren't a big fan of how badly lopsided some people may be in regards to, like, Mary, for example, or the praying to saints and stuff like that, right? Like, I've met people like that, and I genuinely think that, like, these people are on a way better course than people who are into that. And I know that sounds insensitive and it sounds mean, but the reality is if you read Hebrews, I've read Hebrews, I was reading, like, I want to say Hebrews, like particularly Hebrews 8, I think, or 7. It talks about, like, Christ is, like, legit the only one. Like, when I read Hebrews, I sat there and went, like, people are making excuses for idolatry. This is the moment I straight up said that. Do I think every Catholic's like that? No. But I do know that there, like, after reading especially Hebrews, there is a lot of idolatry that can happen in Catholicism. So that's why it's like it's very big murky waters. Like, we don't need a pope. Like, that's just the reality. Is you don't need a pope. You don't need Mary. And I know it's kind of wild, obviously, to say that for a lot of people, but you don't need Mary. And you don't need to pray to the saints for funnily enough, there was a Catholic comedian that I saw that I thought was pretty funny, but it was like the wording of it really made me think that's like, yeah, like it's almost like there's an awareness of this, but you don't need a bouncer to get to God. And I think a lot of the times there's that the bouncer mindset of like, well, and I know I'm not someone who tries to spit out the rhetoric that everyone else says online. That's like, you know what? They're worshiping Mary. I'm not going to be one of those people that say that, because obviously it's the same rhetoric online. No one listens to it. The big thing that I will say with something like this is I try to see the perspective of the other person. I try. I'm not trying to sit there and say, you know what? You're just dumb and I ain't going to listen to you because you're dumb. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like that, like I'm the dumb one for saying that, right? But I try my best to see the perspective of the other people, right? When it comes to, like, the praying of the saints, for example, my thought process is, okay, well, let's think about it. Let's see what someone's perspective of praying of the saints is, right? So, for example, oftentimes people think, well, you're idolizing the saints. Now, I do believe that to an extent, but it also depends on, like, I still, like I said, I want to understand why someone is thinking the thing that they believe, right? Like, I'm not one of those people who are just like, I'm just going to say whatever I want to say. A big thing that needs to be said is the fact that at the end of the day, you don't need another mediator between Christ and you. You don't need another mediator. Guess who's the mediator? It's Christ. You don't need that. And the reason I say this, and a lot of people don't want to hear this, but it's the real deal. And I know I've heard the perspective, well, it's a similar thing as asking for a friend to pray for you. No, it's not. Why are you asking someone who is not alive to pray for you? They probably aren't even listening to you. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I feel like it has the same effect as if you walked up to a grave and was talking to a grave. No one's in that grave. They're gone. They're in one of these other areas. They're not listening to you, right? It's the same thing. It's just painted with pretty different colors to make it seem like it's nicer, but it's not. People don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. And I try to listen to it. I'm trying to understand where it's coming from, but there is no genuine basis. It's more the genuine basis of my system told me to, so that's why I'm doing it. Because my system says this. Oh, well, this system goes all the way back to what? Like early church years, we'll say. So it must mean it's viable. But the reality is it doesn't. It doesn't mean that, you know. I'm not trying to be mean, but you know, when I say this as well, when it came to like Peter being the first pope, you know, like I'm just going to be real with you. Peter's also a broken human being. Should we sit there and, you know, try to follow Peter as an example, or should we try to follow Christ as an example? You know, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's the reality. Should I follow Peter or should I follow Christ? You know, I get it. Christ said the rock that Peter is going to be the built on of the church is going to be built on the rock that might be Peter, right? But I want to offer a perspective in that. That's not to be mean. It's not to be hateful. I want to offer a perspective in that, and that is, do you think he meant that symbolically or literally? Because I'd like to think he meant it symbolically. Peter is a broken, busted up person who loved Christ so much that he kept shoving himself in the way. Cut off a dude's ear, thought he was defending Christ, and Christ was like, why are you doing this? If I needed defense, I would have had it. Or another example is, he said, I wouldn't do this, God, and God was like, yeah, you're going to do this. And he did it 3 times. You know, there's a multiple perspectives of this. Peter is another great example of comparison. You know, he cared so much about what another person thought about instead of what Christ was thinking. You know, he cared about what Christ thought about another person instead of him, you know? And these are different things to say that, is Peter a bad person? Probably not, but we're all bad people, and we're all doing stuff like this today. I can guarantee you can look at one little look on Twitter or Christian Twitter or anywhere. People are trying to defend Christ in such a way where it's not a reflection of Christ. They're acting like Peter, you know, and it's understandable. It's out of love, but it's a senseless thing where you're not thinking about the harm you're doing to another person, right? People don't want to hear that because it means accountability. It is accountability, you know, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say it, but it's the real deal. We don't need to build our life upon a person unless it's Christ. Now, I will say, can you use other people's lives and words as examples to live by? Yes, but don't make them your entire role model of who you are as a person. You know, it's not healthy. It's not worth it. And that's why there's things like the popes that it's a problem. You know, it may be cool. Excuse me. It may be cool. They may be going in a pretty decent direction, but it doesn't mean that the foundation you're standing on is a sturdy one. You know, I think there's a lot of pridefulness in there, and it's unhealthy, right? So I know I gave a big TED talk about that, but just wanted to share that. Long story short, do I think that they're saved? I think it depends on the person's heart and what parts of Catholicism they believe. If it's Roman Catholic, really hard to say if that is a true thing or not. Because if it's submit to Rome or things like that, I don't think that's someone that's saved. I think that's someone that's letting Rome or the Vatican rule their life. You know, it's sometimes the words that we speak are reflections of our heart. If I see a man who has genuine fruit in the Lord, I'm not going to care if they're Catholic or Presbyterian or non-denominational or Baptist. I'm going to sit there and see, hey, that's some fruit of the Lord right there. That's somebody who is able to not only be able to articulate what they're trying to say, but also being able to share it in a loving way to the point where there's been genuine people who've had their lives changed, you know? You know, there's an honest, open love that I think a lot of people miss. And it's not necessarily a denomination problem. Does denomination have a play in it? Sure. It's kind of the same we talked about earlier with, like, you know, Charlie Kirk. It's not I mean, yes, politics plays into it, just like denominations play into the problems we have with Christianity, but it's more about the person. It's the personal problem, not necessarily the system. Now, can the system be a bad problem? Sure. I mean, we can all agree that there are some systems out there that are completely whack and it's not worth looking at, right? But there are systems that are, at the end of the day, while parts of them can be whack, doesn't mean that it's 100% not available to have a, to be saved in that, So long-winded version, but that's just my part, my voice on that, homie. Sorry for taking a while when you said that, by the way, Inky. What do you call it? I am a bit passionate on the subject of that, but that's a big thing for me, is my heart towards that, is that, like, because I know that, like, there are a lot of Catholic homies who would be hurt by some stuff I've said in regards to that, but and I'll admit, in the past too, I've had a little bit of a hard heart towards people who are under Catholicism, just because I've had a lot of bad experiences with people who fell under that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is like that. And also, my opinion towards it's evolved over time as well, to where it's not necessarily like me having gripes with Catholicism, but it's more of me having gripes with man-made systems that are causing more harm than help, which isn't necessarily everything, but there's a lot of areas where people trust the man-made system part of it rather than the thing that's important itself, Let's see. Don't know where I was going with this. Sometimes me neither. Hey, nothing wrong with admitting that. Amen. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. You're good. And that's cool. You're from Croatia. I've heard of Croatia, but I've never been there, Belivari. But I hear it's pretty cool. Let's see. That's the one Lincoln quote. I didn't know that came from the Bible. Which one, if you don't mind me asking? I'm sorry, Panzin. I'm a little far behind. Mark 3:25 slaps. Oh, wait, is that what he said? The Lincoln quote? Hold on. We're going to pull up Bible Gateway. Mark. Dude, y'all, I ain't even going to lie. I started talking so much, I wasn't even, like, thinking about it. There's still a Nintendo Direct we got to watch. Oh, yeah, and if a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. Yeah, amen. Amen, bro. Like, I didn't know Lincoln said that. That's kind of base, dude. Base Lincoln. No wonder he was one of the coolest presidents out there, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Bro not only got rid of slavery, well, he didn't get rid of slavery, but he not only was a big help in getting rid of slavery in the U.S., but, like, he out there spitting facts, bro. He's like, yeah, if you keep getting into these little fights with everybody, you're not gonna heal from that. Man. Dude, we got a big thing going there. You know what? Since we talked so much about this, I wanna offer salvation prayer real quick, because we went into this big giant discussion, and I want to talk about it real quick. Also, Panzin, you'd said that the Orthodox have a disagreement with the whole Trinity thing. The Catholic popes and Orthodox patriarchs excommunicated each other all the time until, like, recently, 1965 or something, where the Pope reversed it. Okay, I got you. I'm not very familiar with that then, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, and I'm like, I think it's wild to hold a lot of gripes with stuff like that. But I've got to be careful with this. I forget that I am also still messing with my torso or my collarbone from the accident. So we're gonna pray real quick. If you want to give your life to Christ, I'd be more than happy to be able to give that opportunity for anybody here who hears this, and you're like, man, this is hitting me in the heart. I need to change my life. I want to give you that opportunity, and then we'll watch this. So if you'd like to, you can bow your head and close your eyes. And a big thing I just want to say is all you gotta do is admit that you're a sinner, not to me, but to God. Acknowledge that Jesus is your savior. Excuse me, that Jesus is your savior. That he died on the cross so that he could give you everlasting life. Repenting of your sins, and opening your heart and letting God in, and he'll change your ways for the rest of your days. It's pretty cool. So anyway, here we go. If you'd like to, you can bow your head and close your eyes. A big thing to remember also is to believe what you're saying. Don't just say stuff just to say it. Genuinely believe it. and you'll notice a change. So here we go. Dear Jesus, I'm a messed up and broken sinner. I've done a lot of wrong in my life. Lord, I've always thought that I was the right. I've thought that I was the right one. But God, it turns out I'm so wrong. So Lord, I just repent of my sins. And I acknowledge that you as my Savior, Lord. That you died on that cross so that I could have everlasting life. I love you, Lord, and I thank you, God. And I ask that you just change my ways for the rest of my days. Please come into my heart. In Jesus' name I pray. And your will be done, Lord. Amen. Thank you, God. Love you, Lord. Amen. All righty. I know that's random. And I know that we've had this really random, long discussion. And the funny part is there was no music in the background. So it was probably really real deal. Let me turn this on over here. But yes. So I think now we're going to watch this Nintendo Direct. Am I going to watch it all the way through? Probably not. I'm going to be flat out real with you. I am tired as crud. So, excuse me. So I don't know how long I'll stay up tonight. How late I'll stay up tonight, but we'll see how things go. I is as sad as I was going to actually possibly finish the game tonight. I feel like with how tired I am, we may not continue it. But I don't know. I mean, well, at least tonight. I mean, we'll continue it tomorrow, probably. Well, maybe not tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, let's see the Nintendo Direct. Let's see what they've got for us in store. Dude, there it is. It's the fancy music. All right, I'm gonna skip it because I don't want the jingle. The jingle, I'm gonna skip it, bro. All right, let's see what it's got for us. What is this? It's Mario fan art. It's copyrighted music. I mean, I don't know how copyrighted it is, but it's cool fan art. I like it, whatever it is. Why is there so much fan art of Mario? Dude, Mario Odyssey. I still need to play more of that. Dude, it's been 40 years?
Hello.
I'm about to sneeze.
I'm Shigeru Miyamoto. We'll start today's Nintendo Direct with the Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary.
Dude,
Tomorrow,
40th
September
anniversary?
13th,
Homie,
marks
I'm not
40
even
years
30,
since the
bro.
launch of Super Mario Bros.
That is
in Japan.
crazy.
We got here because so many people have played. Thank you all very much. The Mario games have been supported by evolutions in digital technology and gaming consoles. Additionally, Mario has taken on many different designs and artwork. At the Nintendo Museum, which opened in Kyoto last year, we've created
I remember the
an art
Nintendo
gallery that
thing, bro, I
displays
ain't gonna
character
lie.
illustrations drawn during the development of different games.
See, I was thinking, why is
There
that
are
from
also
December? We don't
illustrations
even
in pixel art from the Mario
have
series.
December yet, and I remembered you have a different
Also,
system for
from
dates.
now through
Oh,
next
yeah,
September,
yeah.
the ticket for
So yeah, it's
admission will
not
change
12.
to
Yeah, I
the
forgot.
design
So
shown here.
in America, we got
And starting
the
this
month
December,
first, and
we're
then
planning
the
a 40th
day
anniversary
second.
light display.
Instead of the
You'll still need a reservation to
what
enter
do you
the
call
museum,
it? The day
but we hope
first,
those visiting will check it
or
out.
the month, or
On top
the
of
day
that,
first and month second.
earlier
That's
in
what I
May,
meant.
following Japan and Hollywood,
Which it does make
we
sense,
opened
though.
The third Super Nintendo World theme park at
Dude, no
Universal
way.
Epic Universe in
No
Orlando,
way.
Florida.
All right, I don't know about
During the
like I
Kyoto
already know
Institute's
about
70
this.
years, we'll be cheering on the runners. The Nintendo logo on it. Face bib that the runners will wear. On the runners. Support. But this time, Mario himself will be cheering on the runners. This is the race bib.
Wait,
that the
there's a
runners will wear.
marathon going
It's a
on,
swap
bro.
for
That's
Kyoto.
crazy. Is there something new? Oh, snap, homies. There it is. This is the thing that I was spoiled to on Twitter. Dude, they got the gopher guy. Excuse me. There it is. I knew about this. I ain't gonna lie. The Super Mario Galaxy movie, bro. I ain't even played the games. I'm gonna be real, but I'm going to at some point.
The name of the new movie that Nintendo and Illumination are producing together is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Space
Okay,
and
awesome.
Sun.
I'm skipping through this.
An iconic left at Nintendo while the delivery.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This man's talking. Let's see who he's.
Back, Chris Pratt.
All right,
as
Chris
Mario.
Pratt. That's pretty sick. I ain't gonna lie.
Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach.
There's that lady again.
Charlie Day as Luigi.
It's funny seeing Charlie Day's Luigi
Jack
still.
Black as
There he is.
Bowser.
He's back again.
Keegan Michael Key.
There he
as
is. He's
Toad,
back again.
And Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek.
There he is. He's back
And as we
again.
continue to make progress on the
Are you gonna
Super
add
Mario
Wario now?
Galaxy movie, we look forward to sharing more with you in the future.
So you mean to tell me
And
you didn't give
until
us
then,
new actors?
Thank you, and back to you, Miyamoto-san.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it. Release. Take a
Oh yeah. So they mentioned this. These are coming to Switch now, apparently. Which is funny because I like wasted money. I didn't waste money, but. Which I want to try Mario Galaxy because I hear that's pretty good. Oh, it's both of them? I know it's both of them. Dude, they knew I bought the All-Stars thing, and they're like, dude, we got to make Derpy pay for another one if he's going to have the second one. Okay, I ain't gonna lie, though. This game looks fun as heck, though. Bro, a literal bumblebee. That's crazy. Dude, it's Rosalina, dude. There's so many Mario games I want to try on stream, bro. I just don't have a lot of time like I had anymore, or in the past. I also have Captain Toad. And that's a fun little game too. Bro, it looks so fun. Dude, is Rosalina gonna nuke the world? That looks like Kamek, not Kamek. What do they call that? What's the King Kai's place called from Mario? Not from Mario, from Goku. Not from Goku, from Dragon Ball. Well, you know what I mean. What's going on? Bro, is Rosalina gonna die? Bro, did they kill Rosalina? No way, bro. Homies, I am so mad I spent so much money, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I spent so much money on that 3D All-Stars thing just so they would put it all on there. It's crazy. Dude, I guarantee you people will flip out over that.
That's right. It's the games that share the movies.
That's right. That's
Super Mario
right.
Galaxy
That's right,
and
Derpy.
Super
You
Mario
wasted so
Galaxy
much
2.
money on that freaking
I'll turn
that
it
Mario
over to the
thing,
original
bro.
director
Easy
for
come,
Super Mario
easy go,
Galaxy.
real.
Koizumi-san.
Hold on. Let me show y'all something.
Hey, hello everyone.
Hey,
I'm
what's up,
Yoshiaki
dog?
Koizumi.
Hold on. I need you to stop real quick, Yoshiaki Koizumi. All right, hold on a second. I need to show the homie something real quick, all right? You just hold up. You just hold your horses right there. Let me show the homie something real quick. Y'all, I don't even think I showed y'all this, but I got Kirby Forgotten Dreamland, right? I paid money for this. I paid money for the 3D All-Stars, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Look what the game came with. Super Mario Galaxy. And you know what's funny about that? I already have Sunshine. I already have Sunshine. It's down there. It's for the GameCube. And technically, if I just bought the thing on Switch, I could get Mario 64. So I paid money. I paid almost $80 for this. Was it worth it? Not anymore, because now they've got Mario Galaxy 2 and 1 on a singular thing there. So I wasted my money with this, but at least it's a rare thing, I guess. I don't know, man. Y'all, I'm still gonna play these on the stream. It's just, it stinks, homies. It stinks a lot. It stinks like doo-doo butter. And also, by the way, I just want to let you know, this is proof that I had it on GameCube. All right, Sunshine's on the GameCube that I have here. So, your boy wasted his money. It's a sad reality, but you know what? It's a reality we live in. That's all right, though. You know what? I'm just glad people can have it if they want them, you know? I probably could have saved a lot more money just buying them all by themselves, but you just never know.
From here, I'll introduce the games that will be released as part of the Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary.
What games?
First, the 2 games you just saw
Okay.
were developed around the idea of what Mario's adventures would be like, while Upside Down game also in Rosalina.
You don't have to explain this game to me. I know what this game is, so I don't.
Won't be included, but more details, including the release timing, will be available on the My Nintendo Store website later today. So please check that out.
Okay.
Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Well,
launched
you
on
didn't pay
Nintendo Switch.
$120. You made it. You made out pretty good. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's something that I was pretty happy about. I wasn't gonna spend more than 100,
Many
so
other
I've spent
Mario
about
titles
80
are
bucks on
also
it.
available on Nintendo Switch.
Have any of y'all played Mario and Luigi Brothership? That game
So if
looks
there's one
fun.
you haven't played yet, why not take the
Oh,
opportunity
I have
to
Mario
try it?
RPG. I also need to try that. Dude, there's Thousand Year Door. I love
Let's
that game.
introduce some other Mario games coming to Nintendo Switch.
All right,
2.
homies, let's see what's going on. Mario Sports or Strikers, homies.
The latest entry in the Mario Tennis series is hitting the court on
I'm gonna be
Nintendo
flat out
Switch
real
2.
with you. I don't give a crud.
Tennis
But
Fever.
I'm gonna be
Use
real.
topspins,
I know that they got
slices,
some Mario Tennis fans.
lobs, and other.
You know what I want? You guys know what I want? No one to play with. That is understandable. I understand. I don't know if you meant from Mario Tennis, but I agree. But you know what would give a lot of people to, you know what a lot of people would go and play someone with? Another Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. What happened? Where is that at? I would play that. That would be awesome.
Other familiar shots.
This could have been Mario Sonic at the
Now you
Olympics,
can
by the
also
way.
Slide and use other fancy footwork with new defensive maneuvers.
If this is $60, I'll cry, bro.
And swing into action with new equipment called Fever Rackets. Keep a rally going to build up your feet.
The brother one. Oh, that's what you mean. Okay. I got you. My bad. No, it said you're good. You're good. It also was a bit of a brain delay for my brain, so but okay, I got you. So you're saying that it's a multiplayer game? I didn't know that.
Fever gauge. Then unleash a fever shot. Freeze the court with the ice racket.
PD Piranha.
Summon mushrooms that shrink your opponents using the mini mushroom racket. Or duplicate yourself with the shadow racket. There are 30 fever rackets, each with their own abilities.
Okay.
Pair them with
Very
38
fun-
playable characters. The
very
most in
fun
series
Mario
history
stuff.
to find
So that's
your
pretty
own
cool.
strategy. Let's see the game modes being served
Okay.
up.
If I was a tennis fan or a Mario tennis fan, this would be so cool.
In tournament mode.
Dude, they got blooper.
Aim for the top by completing different objectives in the trial.
This is the
hours
most
mode.
intense like tennis I've ever seen in my life.
Play matches with unexpected rules in
Dude,
mix it
this
up
is
mode.
like the best tennis game I've ever seen in my life. And I don't even play tennis.
In the online modes,
What is
choose
this?
between casual
Bring
play
back the
with
baseball
customizable
one.
rules and
That's-
online
is that
mode,
the Strikers
or go
one?
for glory in ranked matches.
I think that's the Strikers
You
one,
can
right?
even gently
I've never
swing your
played the
Joy-Con to
baseball one,
controller
but I
like a
think
racket
that's
for
what
a
the
more
one that
authentic
I think that's what that
experience
is.
in swing mode. Plus, after encountering monsters on a remote island, Mario and friends are transformed into babies, kicking off a series of unexpected events in the game's
What?
adventure mode. With their tennis skills
Hold
gone,
up. Hold up. So they gave the babies purpose in this game,
the babies will need
in
to
the
learn
adventure
how to
mode.
play.
I thought this was like in a whole like campaign mode of like a whole different game mode inside this, but it's still interesting, I guess. Like this I thought was interesting.
And defeat the monsters to return to normal. Mario
At least they gave a campaign, so I guess I can't complain. They gave a campaign for this. I just hope they're not like, guys, give me $60.
Tennis Fever
Mario Super
launches on
Sluggers?
Nintendo
Okay, that's what
Switch
it's
2,
called.
February 12th.
Got you. I've never played Super Sluggers, but that's pretty cool.
Was
They should
Mario
bring that
Tennis
back.
Fever.
Because baseball could be pretty cool.
It features familiar tennis gameplay.
Okay, I'm skipping this man.
Hi.
Hi. Is this just Wonder?
Wow! More
Switch 2.
multiplayer mayhem is coming to the Flower Kingdom in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Plus meet up in Bella Bell Park.
Dude, they be out here adding DLC,
A large
homies.
plaza has been discovered in the Flower Kingdom.
I ain't played Wonder, but
Bella Bell Park.
I hear some alright stuff about
Here, You
Wonder.
can enjoy a variety of attractions that let you
I like
team
these
up
little
with
homies. They're
or
so
work
base.
against friends and family. Let's go over some of the things you can do.
Collect the most coins to win.
Collect coins as you make your way through the course. And don't miss your chance to get rich.
Whoever has the most lives at the end wins.
Use items to duke it out. Dodge attacks and try to survive.
Whoever's it at the end loses.
Okay, I will be honest with you.
Work together.
Before you reach
Cool,
the goal, place
but
down
I don't care in the nicest way
too many
possible.
other attractions to enjoy. Grab your Switch 2 edition adds other new content as well. Look forward to more on that in the future.
That's pretty cool, but like
Super
I
Mario
don't
Brothers
I don't have
Wonder,
Wonder,
Nintendo
sadly,
Switch 2
homies.
edition.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder is getting a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. It also adds other new content, so stay tuned for more details in the future. Flowers.
Was it something I said?
The talking flowers. We actually made them.
No way.
Look alike, huh?
Oh, really? Sometimes they'll talk on their own, just like that.
What is that, dude? I'm not buying this, whatever this is. How much is that gonna cost?
Talking flowers can make everyday life a little more fun.
Homies, Nintendo made an affirmation box, bro. Like, it's like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this one. Now, this isn't to mean it's bad. I don't want this random flower being there.
They're
$20 max.
planned for release next spring.
$20 max.
Okay, next is the last game for the
I also heard Alarmo was like $100.
Super
Not
Mario
worth
Brothers
it.
40th anniversary part of this presentation.
Dude, Yoshi?
One
No
day,
way.
On the island where Yoshi and his friends live, a talking book named Mr. E suddenly falls from the sky.
Dude, Mr. E looks so cool.
It looks like the book has information within its pages about unusual creatures,
I already like this game.
but it can't actually see what's written down. So Yoshi jumps in to help investigate.
I like this. Dude, a Yoshi
First,
game sounds so
study
fun to
this
me.
Flower-like creature. We found it right away. It tastes kind of sweet. You can carry this creature on your back. Touch flower.
This is
buds
like
with it,
rotoscoped
and they'll
Yoshi.
bloom. As you wander through the book, you'll make all sorts of discoveries about the creatures you find.
This is definitely a kid's
And
game,
those
but
discoveries will be
I love
written
its
down.
style.
Hey, we found some dandelions. Touch them, and they'll scatter in the air.
Dude, I hope he says
Oh
Woshi.
no!
A
that
double
creature is
Yoshi
stuck.
Exploshi. That's the only thing I think of anymore.
It seems like the dandelions can absorb nutrients.
Kids games are based. I think this one is a good
Oh,
example
they
of a
can
based
even
kids
cause
game.
rocks to crack. Thanks to
Very
them,
nice.
we
It's
were
like a
able to
kid's
break
book.
the rock.
You know, like that's kind of cool. I don't know if I'd play. It depends on how much.
It
They got
looks like
fishing.
there are still
They're
lots
winning
of
me over,
unusual
man.
creatures residing within the book. A
This
page-turning
reminds me
adventure
of-
awaits.
Like if I had kids, I would let them play this. This is very cool.
Yoshi and the Mysterious Book.
I thought it said
launches
the
on Nintendo
Mysterious
Switch
Blood.
2 next spring.
I think that's cool. I like the
A new
rotoscope
game
feel
starring
it's got
Yoshi
to
is
it.
on the way. The game takes place within a mysterious book. You'll make discoveries and encounter all sorts of
I
things
love
as
the
you're
book
exploring.
style.
Please stay tuned for future
I
updates.
like it. It
That's
kind of
all
reminds
for
me of
Super
like the
Mario Brothers
Leapfrog
40th
games.
anniversary. In addition
But
to the games
it depends
coming
on
in
how
the
much it
future,
costs
the
if
new
I would
movie
ever like
releases next
play it
spring.
on stream.
We hope you enjoy all sorts of adventures with Mario. Okay, we'll now begin our usual Nintendo Direct.
Okay.
First,
Okay.
we'll introduce games launching on Nintendo Switch.
All right.
It's time to storm.
I
into
don't even
Crypt
care.
in this
I don't care.
inspired realm solo. And
This sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but like
Dormland,
I'm not even gonna check.
the wilderness.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't want to look at this either. I'm sorry, homies.
Visit shops.
Does it say God? Hold on, let me go back.
Island into a bustling town. Visit shops.
Oh, John's
Some of
Goods,
them
okay.
store-timed console exclusive on the
Dinkum.
Nintendo Switch
All right, that's a
system
good name, but,
November 5th. Pre-orders. Embark on a colorful adventure.
All right, I gotta watch because that little guy at the bottom is really cool.
Save a mysterious planet in the platforming adventure Popucom. Team up locally or online in this multiplayer timing.
I'm sorry. I'm in the nicest way possible. It's not that the game's bad. I
Powerful
just
bosses can be found at the end of stages. Team up to take them down.
that's actually kind of cool. I like the
Additionally, in party
bejeweled
mode,
kind.
up to four
Okay,
pals can take on a variety
That's
of
kinda
challenges
fun.
Together.
I like the
A
bejeweled
colorful
type
co-op
beat.
Adventure awaits in Popucom, launching on Nintendo Switch
Popucom.
this holiday.
Okay, I see you cooking. All right, this is what I'm interested in.
Here, on this small island floating in the sea, are me characters, each living their own carefree lives.
It's Tamagotchi
When is the game
or
coming out?
Tamagotchi. I don't know.
Let's take a look at what's happening in the
Tomodachi.
Tomodachi life,
Tomodachi.
living the dream game. You're in charge of this island. You can create me characters of anyone you'd like living here. Base them on a friend, a family member, or even yourself. Once you've chosen their personality and voice,
My name is Anne.
your me is
Dude,
good to go.
this reminds me of Miitopia so much.
The me characters
I love
you create
Miitopia.
will enjoy their island life however they see fit.
That guy farted. I saw that.
Wonder what's up.
I'm so hungry.
Food for thought.
Yum.
Enjoy.
You might as well just say Woshi, a double Yoshi Exploshi or something, dude.
Looks like that hit the spot. This me looks bored all by their lonesome. Someone needs a pick-me-up.
Leave a charcoal with a Grimby. Oh, blap.
They really
Dude,
hit it
this
off,
is like
all thanks to this
Miitopia.
meetup. This is just a small slice of the life here on the island. Stay tuned for more
I thought that was
information in the
Obama
future.
for a second.
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. This just in. Following previous reports of a 2026 release date, we can now confirm that Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, launches next spring. More on this
Dude,
story
sick.
as it develops.
If I get a Switch 2, actually this is on Switch, so this works. If I get a Switch 2, then that'll be sick.
There was breaking news in that trailer. Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream will launch next spring.
26年の春に発売します。
Dude, that is so fun. What?
Please wait a little longer for this new
I
Dream
like
Life.
how he's just so like
Next up are games coming to
unfazed. It's so
Nintendo Switch
funny.
2, including some games that will also be available on Nintendo Switch.
He was unfazed. He was like, yes, this is the bit, and I'm going for it. All right, getting ready to skip.
Dash, slash, and clash in these games. Get over here and choose your fighter. In
Okay,
this
Mortal
features
Kombat.
multiple and hand or take the bat, dot, and extend Mortal Kombat, which October. Let's finish this. And physically.
Sorry, I done
December 12th.
spoiled that. I guess Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to
Experience
2.
the first game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. Step into the role of Cloud Strife.
It is kind of cool seeing that Switch 2 can finally do stuff like this.
While he's working as a mercenary, the legendary hero Sephiroth, who supposedly died on a past mission, suddenly appears.
I didn't know Sephiroth
Fate
was
of
a
the
hero.
planet is now in your hands. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade launches on the Nintendo Switch 2 system January 22nd. Save the world from malicious machines in this action roguelike resources.
Sorry.
Classes.
Another one of the games that I just won't play.
Later.
This is a game I probably will play. Because I also heard about this. Because I played the first Hades, it's good.
It would seem that you are finally prepared. But time itself is against us. And war has come to Mount Olympus. Shall you rush now to your family's defense?
I don't necessarily know who these homies are fighting here, but
Strike our enemy in
the first one was
heart of
great.
the underworld.
I would assume the combat's a bit different in this compared to the first one, but that probably won't mean it's bad.
You know me, Headmistress. I'll do both. Death to Kronos.
Dude, Death to Kronos.
Prepare
That
to battle
honestly,
beyond the underworld of
out of like all of mythology in the in this, I think it's kind of cool that because Kronos would make sense, like there's this constant loop,
Greek myth. In
so it kind of
Hades
fits
2.
just like with Hades.
Play as the princess of the underworld to take on the sinister Titan of Time. Wield powerful weapons of night, the Sister Blade.
It already looks
the
really good
Moonstone
though.
Axe,
Like
the Witch's Staff.
I already really liked the first one. I probably won't stream this game
Binding
though,
circle to ensnare your enemies and gain the upper hand.
but I'd so play this
Along
off
the way,
stream.
the gods of Olympus will grant you new skills and abilities. Mix and match to find the most powerful combinations. Each time you set out, you'll be faced with different choices. And you'll keep growing stronger and unlocking new upgrades. Discover new secrets and unravel the story.
Oh yeah, I remember
Nintendo Switch
watching
2,
someone play the early
experience the action
testing,
up to 120
and they
frames
were
per
they were
second
they were
in
fighting
TV
against
mode.
the
Hades
band
2
here.
launches first for consoles on Nintendo
That
Switch
is
2
pretty sick
and
that
Nintendo
like
Switch,
Hades 2,
September
like I saw this
25th.
on Twitter a bit as well, is that like
New amiibo figure.
Hades 2 and Hot Silk Song came out around the same time, which is cool.
The Kirby Air Riders game is coming soon.
This looks really
New
fun, by the
amiibo
way.
are also on the way.
Sick.
Your figure players will level up as they compete, and their machine's proficiency level will also increase.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of like Smash
Rock
Bros.
Riders also
From what I know.
transferred over the same day as the game's launch. Sure, and look out for even more Kirby Air Riders.
Dude, no way. Is this the Hyrule Warriors? I guess it is. Yeah, I don't know much about this, but
After traveling back in time, Princess Zelda meets the first king of Hyrule, Rauru. And the
Rauru.
queen, Sonia.
Sonia.
She joins them to take on Demon King Ganondorf in a conflict that will come to be known as the Imprisoning War. Take on hordes of enemies as you fight alongside your allies. Like this brave Korok. Get familiar with your allies' abilities so you know which character to swap to in any situation. Zonai devices can bring water, wind, and other effects to combat. Make strategic use of them to counter your enemies and alter the flow of battle. Pair up with nearby allies to unleash mighty sync strikes. Depending on the pair,
I ain't gonna lie, homies. I zoned the quad out by an accident. I was thinking about life.
other effects. Invite a friend to fight alongside
That's
you
cool.
in
It
split-screen
makes me
co-op.
think of like the Persona.
With Game Share, you can play together on 2 separate systems, even if only one player has the game.
Oh, I can't remember what it was called. Persona Strikers. It's a similar concept.
Uncover ancient truths that were only glimpsed in The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment.
Hi, Omega. Thank you for the cheese. I appreciate it, homie.
Pre-orders begin later
Thinking
today
about tonight's
on
cheese?
Nintendo
I think
eShop.
so. More of like I'm tired and thinking about life, and now I'm thinking about that cheese though. So that's pretty rad.
Right. That's
Also
enough
looking
for
at some
one day.
Nintendo
Time
games.
for me to head back to the castle. And remember, not a word about this place to anyone.
Is
There's
this Kingdom
more to
Hearts?
the world than this island, and
I'm
we're
joking,
going
by
to
the way. I don't
prove
know.
it.
How are you holding up? Way better than I was on Monday.
One,
Monday I had
two,
this like sharp pain in my like collarbone, but that sharp pain's now gone, so that's a big plus. So I'm really excited. I might be doing a lot better, I would say. So that's cool. This is probably a game I will not be playing, homies. But this is so goofy to see these small homies. But I am doing pretty good, homie. That's good. I agree.
It all began with a spark of
Oh, wait,
curiosity.
I hope
Guided
you're
by a
doing awesome
mysterious
as well.
talent, a group
And I was
of
able
young
to sleep
heroes
as well
embark
last
on a
night, which is
journey
cool.
to reclaim
Just
the
depends on
lost
how
world.
I'm laying down
As
and
they
stuff,
venture into the
but
unknown,
so far
they'll
for the most
encounter
part I'm
mighty
okay.
foes and a myriad of twists and trials. What awaits them beyond it all?
Who are you people? What is this game? I probably won't play this game. I don't mean this as mean. I'm not a Dragon Quest homie. I have no idea what Dragon Quest is.
Spirit. Look out, world. Here we come.
That's right. I ain't doing nothing.
That was Dragon Quest VII ahead in this.
Congratulations.
The app continues to deliver all sorts. We're adding a new Kirby theme.
Dude, DDD is so based.
We're also delivering information regularly about Kirby Air Riders leading up to the game's release. So please check that out. Please take a look at this.
All right, I'm skipping because there's like it's not live anymore. So
coming to Nintendo Classics,
Virtual Boy. I don't know what that is.
You'll be able to enjoy a collection of Virtual Boy games in stereoscopic 3D while playing on Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch. In order to play, you'll need this dedicated accessory. This recreates the form of the original Virtual Boy hardware by inserting a console to play. Both Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch are supported.
I don't know if I remember what the Virtual
Play
Boy
Mario's
is.
Tennis. Galactic Pinball.
I bet this is a big nostalgia fest for homies, but I've never played these.
Classic games shown here are planned
Dude, they
to
got
be released
Wario
over
Land.
time. Virtual Boy Nintendo Classics is scheduled to launch February 17th. The dedicated accessory needed to play Virtual Boy Nintendo Classics will be available in the future.
I wonder how much that costs though.
A cardboard model of the accessory will also be available.
Dude, sick.
Ooh. We hope you're looking forward.
Why
to
they
Virtual
they
Boy
didn't have to
Nintendo
dub
Classics.
the ooh
Okay,
part.
Let's see some more headlines.
I don't think they had to dub the ooh part, but alright.
The Crimson Butterfly soars again.
Is this Silent Hill or is
Minakami Village, a place said to
or is this
have
Fatal
vanished from the
Frame?
map.
It is
But
Fatal
when twin
Frame.
sisters,
I've never played
Mio and
Fatal
Mayu,
Frame, but I hear it's a
find
pretty good
themselves
horror
lost
game.
and wander into the village.
This looks pretty good though for like a Fatal
They
Frame game. I'm sure the Fatal Frame homies are probably like, bro, this is so good.
The victims of a past tragedy.
Dude, they got the Grudge Girl in here.
Neo must use the camera obscura, a device that can pacify the unsettled ghosts and find a way home. But as she delves deeper into the mystery,
Don't let go of my hand.
Mayu's sanity slips away. Where will the Crimson Butterfly lead them?
Did they remake? I don't know if they remade the first one or
Fatal
not.
Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly remake.
To me, I feel like
launches on the Nintendo Switch
the
2
original
system
game,
early
the way
next
it
year.
looked, made me unsettled.
Upgrade your play with
So
the
this
Nintendo
one didn't
Switch
make
2
me look
editions
feel
of these
as
games.
unsettled, but I feel like it's the old graphics that do a good
In the
job at
Nintendo
that.
Switch 2 edition,
I'm gonna be
enemies
honest with you.
you could
I'm skipping through homies. Stardew Valley, Humans Fall Flat.
Way to wobble with physics-based fun. Craving more to
Dude,
clean?
no way, bro.
Entry
They
into
got the
relaxing
Power Wash
Clean 'em Up
Simulator
series.
2. I didn't know they made a
Unholster
second
your
one.
washer And effortlessly blast the dirt away as you transform
I have the
your
first one. I
sullied
really like the
surroundings
first one.
into squeaky clean scenes. Make use of new tools and supplies, and soap, a surface cleaner, additional power washers, and rigging equipment for those hard-to-reach places. Wash your way through a fresh campaign as you explore even more
Wow.
of Muckingham. Then
Muckingham,
venture to
that's
new,
funny.
grimy locations, including Detergento and Lubra City. After a hard day's work, take some time to unwind in your home base and spruce up the place with furniture and accessories you've collected. And for the first time, up to 4 players can make progress in the campaign together in online co-op. Or split the work between 2 players with local split screen. Very satisfying
Wow.
indeed. Sit back, relax, and clean to your
I do like me some Power Washing Simulator. It is very fun.
It's
It's a good game, homies. I like it a lot.
This fall. The fruit matching phenomenon
No way,
returns.
bro. I had that on my phone.
Suika game is back and rounder than ever. Any angle.
I had Suika game on my phone. I'm skipping this because it's basically a mobile game. What's this? Oh, this is the Final Fantasy X, right? No, it's not. Never mind. Sure, maybe no, it's not. No, it's not. It's Metroid Prime 4, homies. Dude, that's kind of sick. She can get a motorcycle. Or is this a completely different game? No way. There's no way. If this is Prime 4, that's kind of sick. Or is this a whole new game? That is so cool. Bro, what is this? This is Prime 4, right? This is so cool. Yeah, this has to be Prime 4. Oh my gosh, dude. I really want to play the Prime series so bad. This is so cool. If I got a Switch 2, I would so play that. But I also would like to play the other games. Dude, Donkey Kong Bonanza, bro.
DLC is smashing its
Bro, they
way
got
into
DLC,
Kong
dude,
Bonanza.
sick. I want to play this game
This new edition
too.
lets you barrel around DK Island, the home of some familiar faces.
Does that mean Funky's in here?
And if you finish the main game story, Void Kong will offer you a position in the ranks of the Void Company.
What do you think?
Your mission? Collect as much shiny green ore as you can
Okay.
in Emerald Rush.
It looks so
Your
based.
emerald quota within the
I want to
time
play
limit
this
to clear
donkey
each round.
game.
The key to amassing emeralds is collecting fossils to gain perks. Collect a fossil and you'll get to pick from 3 random ones. Perks have different effects, like getting more emeralds from defeated enemies or more jam-packed treasure chests. There are all sorts to choose from.
I like
Gain
this
and
game. This
stack
looks really
perks,
cool.
Then collect oodles of emeralds. You can also smash Bonandium gems to gain random skills that power up Donkey Kong during your run.
What the crud?
Your perks and skills reset after each run.
So it's like not a
Fossil and
roguelike,
Bonandium
I
gem
guess close to
locations
it
stay
though.
the same. Refine your winning strategy with each go. When a run ends, you'll earn in-game rewards based on how well you did. Playing can net you new fashions
Oh, that's
and
cool.
statues to display on DK Island.
That's kind of fun. I like
You get
that.
to play Emerald Rush on more layers. Take on the challenge to earn that promotion. The Donkey Kong Bonanza, DK Island, and Emerald Rush paid DLC launches on Nintendo Switch 2 later today. Plus, a free demo of the main game will also be available on Nintendo eShop later today.
Donkey Kong Bonanza is getting paid DLC called DK Island and Emerald Rush. Please look forward to collecting lots of emeralds in Emerald Rush. Next, please take a look at this.
All right. I'm going to probably skip a little bit, homies, because I'm kind of getting tired. But I want to see what these are. Is this Pikmin? No, it's Pokemon. Dude, it's a Pokemon Pikmin game. I'm kidding. I have no idea. Is it a Ditto game? What the crud? Is this really a Ditto game? That'd be kind of cool.
This land is just
What the
waiting to be
crud is
shaped
this?
by a Ditto that looks like a human? And what's that in the grass? Oh, that's Bulbasaur, a grass-type Pokemon.
Oh, it's Bulbasaur, a Pokemon apparently no one's heard of before.
What's this? Looks like Ditto's got an idea.
Leafage?
By learning this move, you can make grass grow. Squirtle's water gun will keep it all healthy. As
So,
nature flourishes,
I'm guessing it's
so
the
do the
Ditto... It's a Ditto cozy simulator, is what it seems like.
collect rocks and wood to build with. Till the fields and grow delicious crops. Build homes for the Pokemon you meet. There's so much to do here.
Well, that does seem kind of okay, but it's just like, I don't know.
No need to rush, though.
Yeah, it's a cozy
Go at
sim.
your own pace. And
Dude,
you'll have a
Ludicolo.
wonderful space before you know it.
Animal Crossing, but there's so many Pokemon.
Pokemon Pokopia.
Pokopia, interesting. Okay.
A brand new Pokemon launch.
I'm skipping this Legends ZA game. That game, in the nicest way possible, does not look fun. Sorry. The Legends Arceus game looked pretty alright, but this one just, to me, doesn't look fun.
It appears that new Mega Evolved. We have
Dude, another Hoopla. I think that homie's name is Hooper, but I might be wrong. Dude, this is kind of metal. Paid DLC, no way.
Mega Dimension. Raichu has 2 different Mega Evolutions.
Okay, I'm skipping
Ready
over
for
that,
some
sorry.
Killer fun in the
Dude, when they said killer fun in the sun, I was thinking it was Danganronpa, but I didn't know.
Just over 10 years ago, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair is making the ultimate comeback. While on
Is this a
school
remake?
trip to Jabberwock Island, you and your classmates are trapped in
I don't know, this doesn't really
escape.
look like a remake to me.
After each deadly incident, a heated
This
class
one
trial
is
will
this one
begin.
doesn't have an anime, so it's what makes it interesting is that
High-speed
like
detective action. You'll shoot down contradictions and counter opponents to reveal the truth. And
2
along
times
with the
2, that's
main
4.
game, an additional story is included. One incident will trigger an entirely new scenario with different victims and culprits.
The wait is over. The next class trial is about to begin.
Danganronpa 2x2 launches on the Nintendo Switch. Make history in the 3 Kingdoms onto Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, Dynasty Warriors, that's cool and all, but like I'm gonna skip through, sorry.
Army. DLC, both launch on. Two fates are now.
I'm gonna be flat out honest with you. I don't know. This is I don't know if this is a Monster Hunter. Yeah. It's, to me, I don't mean to be mean again. This is yeah, I get Genshin vibes, but it's not like it's getting, no, sorry, Breath of the Wild type beat, but which isn't to say Breath of the Wild's bad. It's just, you know, yeah. This is probably something your boy's not gonna get.
Whatever stands in your path. 3 Twisted.
I don't care about 2 Point Museum or Disgaea or this game or that game. Maybe that game. That might be fun. That game's kind of cool too. That game might be kind of cool too. This game might be cool too, but I already have it. I haven't played it though. Dude, Resident Evil. I'm kidding, I ain't got no idea, but Resident Evil seems like it fits. Or it's PT. That'd be so funny.
Hello?
Resident Evil Requiem, I bet. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I wouldn't be getting it on here anyway, though. I'd get on PS5.
Who was it?
Dunno. They asked for Miss Ashcroft and then they hung up on me.
I already... Never mind, I was supposed to say I already saw this trailer, but I didn't.
Oh, you're FBI? Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
PT, that one was said scrapped. Yeah, that one was said scrapped, right? It was. It's not actually PT, but it is. But Resident Evil Requiem or Resident Evil games were like the newer ones have been like really good first-person games. It does stink though that PT was scrapped because PT would have been awesome. Very good horror game.
You're not like other people, you know. You're quite unique.
Tell me what's going on.
Something important.
I'm scared.
Grace.
Bro, it's some wild stuff.
There's no escaping your destiny.
Who the heck said that? That'd be kind of wild if she showed up in the police office and excuse me, in the Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 7 and 8 are probably gonna be in this. Yep, they're like, dude, there you go, you can get it on Switch too. I like both those games though, they're very good.
Entry in the Resident Evil series is launching on Nintendo Switch 2. We hope you're looking forward to Resident Evil Requiem, where you'll face unknown nightmares.
Golden Wind Requiem, exactly, bro. When is Golden Wind Requiem gonna show up?
The first in the series with a
Dude, if Golden Wind Requiem showed up in the game or in this game, dude, it'd be all over. Hold up.
And Resident Evil Village, which
when did Village have a third person?
broke new ground for the series, also launched the same day. Thank you for watching so far. Next will be our last announcement. Please take a look.
Okay. Also, I don't know if we'll continue for, like, Super Mario. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm like... But we'll see what this is, though. Attack on Titan? Wait, why is Attack on Titan the last thing? There's no way this is Attack on Titan. Never mind. Sorry, I'm wrong. It just looked like Attack on Titan for some reason. Is this Fire Emblem?
Draw now upon your
Homie, you gotta talk louder than that. You're in a whole museum. You're in a whole coliseum, bro.
hearts. Hear me now as I declare that the heroic games have begun.
I'm not gonna play this just because of that bad voice acting there. It's not the voice acting fault. It's just, I should say vocal editing. Sorry, not voice acting. They should have added an echoing.
Save my father's life.
Talk loud in the museum. Yeah, I don't know why I said museum. I meant to say coliseum.
What I seek is a great strength. An unyielding strength for any foe. Sheer strength to uphold the faith I hold dear. Above all, I need the strength to lead my people. Strength enough for a queen!
It is imperative that I face it again. I must cull it with this blade.
Yeah, this is a Fire Emblem game.
So much that simply killing him will not satisfy me. For that reason, I refuse to die.
Or I think it is. I don't know. I've never played Fire Emblem, so I don't know.
And now warm blood is served in a crude.
They've got Alucard in this
Let
game.
you deny me my feelings? I refuse to accept.
You deny your blade its purpose. That's what I heard her say. Deny.
Stand upon the final stage. I shall grant whatever wish you may desire.
That voice is a Naruto voice actor.
That I vow to.
I've heard that guy's voice in Naruto before. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. So I'll be real. That homie need to be talking louder.
Weren't they?
I don't know who you people are.
Me so soon.
I've forgotten all of you because I don't know who you are, but I don't know if this is a remake or another announced Fire Emblem game, but
That was the trailer for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, the latest in the series. This intertwining story happens alongside the thrilling, heroic games. What kinds of stories await? Please stay tuned for future updates. That's all for today's Nintendo Direct. Thank you.
alrighty. Well, that was a pretty wild time. I'm not gonna lie. This Fire Emblem looks too much like Genshin. Nintendo Hoyoverse will come after you, bro. Maybe. Maybe they will. Maybe. I would assume that like they could get away with it possibly though, just because the gameplay isn't exactly like Genshin or nothing. So I would say that's the case. But maybe it looks a little like it or something, I would say. But however, that Fire Emblem does not look very entertaining in my opinion. But it's to say, anytime. Excuse me. But yeah. So, y'all, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm so tired, and I really want to play more Super Mario. Like, I want to play more Thousand Year Door. But like, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have the strength to keep going. I think I need to go to sleep. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, I would love to stream like more Thousand Year Door, but I just don't think I'm gonna be able to. I meant to tell you guys some other stuff earlier as well, that there's a chance that I may be streaming tomorrow. Excuse me. And it might be a really random stream that I will have to be careful on how I stream, but it'll be really goofy and funny. I'll tell you, it'll be something for sure. So I think that'll be really rad. So, my knees are killing me though. I think that I should probably just end stream. I'm sorry I, didn't really go for a whole long time, but like homies, after today, I've been tired. Excuse me. There's just a lot of stuff that kind of happened today that just made me tired. Like, whether it be like stuff at work or, just, upset family members or whatever it may be. I just what do you call it? I'm tired, so I think I need to get some sleep. So I appreciate y'all being here. I know that today was not a day of any 1,000-year door, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. I'd only be streaming for an hour, if anything, if I even got to 1,000-year door. So if I didn't do this at all, but anyway, I hope you all have a good night. There may be a stream tomorrow, but I don't know. There's no guarantee. I've also got some really fun stuff coming in the mail, hopefully tomorrow as well. So we'll see. But y'all have a good night. God bless y'all. And y'all just please pray for my heart. Just not my heart in a bad way, just my heart in a way of like how to handle some stuff if stuff goes comes to my way, if that makes sense. But if not, I guess it's nothing to worry about. But just any prayers to do what's right at the right moment, because what do you call it? I see a lot of problems within my life kind of not showing, but like possibly going to grow or happen. So that's just a big thing I would just want some prayer for if possible. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you have a good night, homies. I'm gonna probably go to bed. So I'll see y'all possibly tomorrow. If I do see y'all tomorrow, I promise you this: you will have a very, very, very random and weird stream that is gonna be very unexpected. But yes, but we'll see how that goes. So anyway, God bless y'all. Good night, and I'll see y'all possibly tomorrow. If not, I'll see y'all on Monday, and we'll talk about something that needs to be talked about. We'll be talking about a lot of what's happened this week.